Howdy har. What's up, yo guys? What's up, yo guys? Go. Hi. Number four. Happy Thursday. Glad you're here. Thanks again for showing up. I'm getting excited. I've been posting a decent amount of these. Number four, and you guys are listening to them, so that's awesome. So yeah, thank you guys so much. We got another great one today. Today's episode is with Emma Willis. Emma Willis is a professional volleyball player from San Diego, California. After playing mostly club in high school, she took her talents to Denver University, where she played D1 volleyball all 4 years while also getting an engineering degree. Going to combo there. After school, an opportunity came up to play professional volleyball in Switzerland, so with her singular roller bag and a screw it, let's do it attitude, she did exactly that. Emma's awesome. She talked to me late at night because of the time difference, and I really appreciate that. So we talked for 2.5 hours, and we went all through, oh my gosh, we went through a crazy variety of topics. So I love talking to her. She's hilarious. I love her family. I'm going to have all them on at some point. They're the best. But yeah, I'm just psyched to have her on, and thank you guys again for listening. And please welcome Emma Willis.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, skier matters.
Oh, hey. I'm pretty good right now.
Welcome to Worlds.
Loud and clear. What's up? How's it going?
What's up, brah? I'm just chilling in
Brah.
Mikasa in Colorado. It's freaking
Yeah.
sick out here. Yeah. No, I am.
Snow there?
No. Not at all. No, it's probably been the worst season we've had. Like, I can see grass out my window right now. It's like the worst season
Grass.
we've had in forever. Yeah. And I've heard
That's
that
trash.
where you are in Switzerland's just been getting absolutely dumped on. So
It's going off. It's like
Oh.
the most snowy winter in like 30 years, I think.
wow. Well, I'm glad you are having fun while I am here in Steamboat. I mean, I can't complain. Steamboat's pretty dope, but yeah, no, there's
Steamboat's
like
pretty dope.
rocks everywhere and trees and bushes, and like not even all the runs on the ski mountain are open, and it's almost the end of January, which is hilariously,
Oh, that's sad.
terrifyingly sad. Yeah. So that's been, yeah, a pretty fat L. But have you been skiing at all? Are you allowed to even ski?
No, I was gonna say you're out there having fun. I was like, I can't ski.
Is it in your
I have-
contracts that you can't ski?
It's not written in it. It would be extremely looked down upon if they found out. I could like sneak out and go skiing, like not post anything and just but we only have 1 day-ish off a week, and my body's like constantly tired because you spend all of your energy on volleyball. So if I don't use that day to rest, then I kind of fuck over myself.
Yeah.
And because it's my job, I have to
Is that
be,
crazy that it's your job?
like together. It is crazy that it's my job. Sometimes I forget that it's my job and I lose the perspective of like, oh my God, I actually play volleyball for a living. But then I think about I could be just at an office. I could be living
Not
at
in
home.
Switzerland,
I could not
living-
be in Switzerland. And
living
then
as
I
a
remember,
professional
oh,
volleyball player.
pretty dope what I'm doing. I like it.
You like it? I'm glad
yeah.
you like it. Especially in Europe,
Yeah.
because like Europe, I've heard like a lot of people want to like go ski bum there and like just like do stuff like that. But they're very, especially Switzerland is like really hard to get into to like even get like a simple
Yeah.
job. So the fact that
They
you
have,
got a
like-
job in Switzerland is like pretty nuts.
They have like the most intense immigration laws of all time. Basically, if you don't have, the rule is to get a job as an American there, you have to have a qualification that no one else in Switzerland has. So they have to go through the entire population before they will choose you. So you have to be some type of specialist or athlete or I don't know. Yeah, specialist or athlete, basically, if you ever want
Wow.
to work there, or you have to get married, which is hard if you can't work there. So they
Just go on
just kind
ski
of screw over
vacation and
everyone.
find yourself a husband. Well, I guess now you're already there, so you got the keys to the kingdom. But Switzerland's a crazy
Yeah.
place. I've been there 3 times. I'm lucky enough that I have been, and it's very, very, bizarre how like like the gas station food is the thing that stuck out to me the most, honestly. Like you go to
Like,
a
what
gas
about it?
station in America. Well, you go to a gas station in America and there's just all these like the cheese filled hot dogs and stuff and like the
Oh
$20
yeah,
beef jerky
and
and
the
like
taquitos.
some taquitos and Snickers.
Oh
And then
yeah.
you go to a gas station in Europe and like especially like Switzerland and the Alps, and they're like, "Do you want prosciutto on your sandwich? And how about a cappuccino?" Like it's very, very
I
nice.
know.
And I'm like, wow, this
But
is
that, I feel
nuts.
like that's all around Europe. But I mean, Switzerland's definitely bougie, I guess is one way to say it. Like
Yeah,
everything is expensive.
that's true.
Everything.
Wait, so
And
what's the
but then
it's on the EU, right? It's like
no,
on
they're
the
not part of the EU.
really?
They aren't part of the EU. That's their whole thing. They're so far out of everyone else's business that they're not even a part of the EU. They're just
But they're in the middle
doing
of everyone.
everything.
That's the funny thing.
They're in the center. They're what makes the EU into a donut, literally. They're in the
Wow.
middle of everything and they're completely self-sufficient. And I honestly don't understand. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm in like some sort of weird utopia. Everyone everyone here trusts and believes in the government. All of the trains run exactly on time always. Everything is in order, everything is scheduled, everything is perfect. The streets, there's no trash, there's no homeless people. It's kind of like it's a bit crazy, but then there's like two sides to that where sometimes it's like so rigid that you're like you don't have that sense of kind of carefree
Yeah.
lifestyle that you can get,
Can you do whatever
especially in
you want?
California.
Can you do like so? Like I've heard in I'm an idiot, so I don't know if this is true. But
Mhm.
in some countries, you like take a test when you're younger, and whatever you're the best at, you like go to college for that. Like some crazy shit like that. I don't know if it's like that in Switzerland, but like it's definitely more
It's
like
kind of like that. I only know what I've heard from my like friends here, so this could not be fully accurate. But basically you get placed when you're really little into either like a higher level school or a lower level school.
okay,
So it starts when you're really young. You kind of get screwed if you're not bright as a child because you sort of start on this track that's not heading towards, well, it depends on what you want, but it's not heading towards like the good universities, etc. when you're like 10.
when you're
Um,
10.
and yeah. So then
Wow.
you go into
So there's already that like
middle
class
school.
separation at that age.
Exactly.
Wow.
And the lower schools go and instead of high school, but it's a bit different here, but it's like when you're like 16, that's high school. You go and you work apprenticeships instead of going to school and you learn trades. And then the other sort of sector goes and studies more and prepares for university, basically. Um, and then the university system itself is intense because if you fail a class twice, you're just kicked out of the school and you don't get to try again ever. It's like, so
What?
yeah. If you fail a qualification for your graduation 2 times, they will remove you from the system.
That sounds fucked.
I know.
That's
I think back like to my college days and like that type of pressure would have ruined my life, I think.
well, and how about like, can you, so if you are placed into the quote unquote lower system at a younger age, can you go up to the higher one at any point, or are you just screwed blue from the start?
That's something that I don't fully understand. I have a friend who's a teacher and he's tried to explain it to me. I think it's possible, it's just super unlikely. It's like
Wow.
I think you can take a test. There's some sort of like high school entry exam um, that if you pass this test, then you get into the better levels, or I don't
Well,
know.
imagine being a
But
parent and then you're like, oh, I need to make sure my kid passed this test so they're not like an electrician forever.
yeah,
Because you say that they learn
well,
trades. So is that like what you do? They're like, okay, you didn't make it, so you can learn how to be a plumber. Like, not that being a plumber is bad, but do they like force you into that?
well, so like for example, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a plumber forever, I guess, is the one thing. Like my teammate's brother, she said, is chose, instead of doing high school, not because he couldn't do the material, he didn't have good enough grades or anything. He just wanted to do an apprenticeship in carpentry for 2 or 3 years. So he's just being a carpenter right now. And later on, I guess he can go back into the education system and work his way towards university. But I really don't know how it works. I'm not going to lie.
That sounds
For
kind of
me, the
terrifying.
biggest thing, for me, the biggest thing is just like that divide when you're so young. But then if you think about it, in our school system, you kind of have a similar thing. Just it doesn't happen directly. It's like if you start out in middle school with shit grades, you sort of build like habits. You get into the non-honors classes.
Yeah, we had
You don't, like
we had this thing called GATE classes. So there were
yes, we
the
had that
GATE kids,
too.
dude. Do you know what that stands for? It's
I don't know. We had a lot of
it's
really mean
gifted and
acronyms about
talented
it.
education.
Yeah.
So there were the quote unquote gifted and talented kids, and you'd try out to be a gifted and talented kid. And I didn't make the gifted and talented kid. And so we had the GATE
I think
kids.
I missed it by like a few points or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I remember that the test to get into it was like a bunch of shapes. I think it was like an IQ test, like when you were like 10. But at least like you would not be in GATE, so I wasn't in gifted and talented. But like at least I could like do what I want. Like that was just during middle school and high school. Like it doesn't matter after. It's not like, oh, sorry, you didn't pass. Like good luck for the rest of your life. Like
Yeah.
like that's the main difference. Do they have to pay for university?
No.
Okay. So that's a plus, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
You
you
know,
said,
and
there's pros and cons.
pro tip, actually, if you're looking for going to a master's degree, which I'm considering, even international people, the fee for each semester is 600 francs. That's it.
What?
Yeah.
Can you repeat
To
that?
go to university. 600 or less. Some schools are 500, some are 800.
So
And that's it for anyone, anyone, anywhere in the world. They can
how about
come to school
housing and
here.
stuff?
Well, no, then you have to pay for that. But if you compare
And that's
for the
30,000.
tuition of, no, it's not too bad if you live in a small studio.
Okay. Wait, so
Like
then
any other
800
city.
francs is probably like $1,200, right? Something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if you go, for example, I'm looking at master's degrees, 2 years, then pay a total of what, 4,800
It's a bargain, dude.
for the full thing. Full thing. It is a bargain.
Wait, so if
Crazy to
I
me.
can American students go do that internationally and that qualifies them to go like be in Switzerland?
Yes.
No shit.
Yep.
Maybe
I
I'll hit
didn't
that
know
up.
about this until living here.
That's a pro tip,
And
dude.
now I applied to 2 universities here for next year because I was like, I can't pass up that opportunity. Let's give it a go.
So wait, so there's nothing you have to do to like you just have to get in. Is it hard as hell to get into the university to pay $600? Yeah, there you go. There's
Yeah.
how hard is it?
That's
Like
the
Harvard
kicker.
level or what?
It's hard to really know. It's hard to compare. I would guess Harvard level. That's my guess. It
Great.
depends on what school.
I
The 2
qualify
top
then.
schools, like ETH Zurich, for example, which that's basically the Harvard of Switzerland. That's almost impossible to get into, I would guess. But then you could go to a smaller school like University of Bern, and I have no idea. Maybe it would be easy to go in. It depends on what school. Their education's great, but there's definitely schools that are lower level, and those ones would be easier to get in. But it's hard to find English courses at those schools.
Yeah, I was gonna
so.
say. So how much Swiss? Because Switzerland people speak like 4 different like Swiss plus like German or French or Italian. Like it's
Oh my God! Don't
depends
even
on
get me
where it-
started on the languages. It's impossible to learn a language here because, first of all, they speak French, Italian, and Swiss German, which is not the same as German. And then they have some like native Swiss language as well. And then Swiss German, the dialect of Swiss German changes from city to city. Like you could drive 30 minutes and the dialect of Swiss German is completely different. So if you learn German, good luck trying to learn Swiss German because the pronunciation is completely different. And then even if you learn Swiss German from one of the cities, like you're learning Swiss German in Bern and you go to Zurich, you won't understand them. So
How about the
the
native
language
people?
situation is insane.
Do they even like, can they even go between the towns and stuff?
If you're like a fluent Swiss German speaker, you can
Figure
get
it
a
out.
grasp on the different dialects. Every Swiss person generally speaks 3 languages, so
That makes us look
that's
good.
just fluently. Yeah, I know. That's the thing about like just Europeans in general and the number of languages they all know. It's something that we're missing, being the giant country with all English speaking. Well, not all English speaking even,
Yeah.
but it's the main language, so there's not that motivation. As opposed to here, if you know 3 languages, it opens so many doors for you. So
And if you don't know 3 languages, then they place you into a position that you can't recover from. So there you go. They put you in a black van
yeah,
and they drive you away. They're like, you're not a part of our society. You're not up to the
like
standards that
you
we
are
like
going.
here.
You can't be in this pristine utopia. Get out.
What is that hoodie you're wearing? We don't like those colors. Goodbye. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think I'm of good enough qualification to participate in that utopia. I'm just a dirty American. I like
Dirty
it.
American.
I'm prideful about my country though. There
Yes.
are definitely pros and cons like Europe, but at least you don't get placed into a system when you're 10 years old. That's like, haha, sucks for you. You're going to
True.
be in the system forever.
Yes.
It's
It's definitely a high stress environment.
yeah.
I
What are the
think,
give me
over
a
here.
quick list of pros and cons, then I'll actually like start talking about you and what you're doing. But I just find
Quick
it to
list of
be
pros and
so
cons.
interesting.
Oh God. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, like in what aspect of a whole? I mean, we could start with this is the most beautiful country that I've ever seen, to be honest. I have done a bit of traveling, not a lot, but you have just the Alps are ridiculous. They just go straight up out of flat earth
Yeah.
and it's insane. You've seen them. It's just crazy. And then every lake is clear blue, clear
How's
water.
the
And in
water?
the summer,
Like the drinking water.
the drinking water's great.
That's a big
It's
thing.
flawless. Better than bottled water.
There you go.
And they have so much of it that they can run their entire country basically on hydropower. So that's just cool. Green wise, like environmentally conscious, if you care about that, they're doing phenomenally. The recycling and the renewable electricity and everything like is very sustainable. And the use of public trans, you can go to, I live in a small rural town here. And you can go to any house in the entire country using public trans. You do not need a car at all if you don't want to have one here.
Really?
So that's great. What else? The cheese and the chocolate
And the coffee.
are phenomenal. The skiing is less expensive here,
Really?
randomly, of all things, because everything's more expensive here. Skiing is less expensive. It's you can do a day for $90.
That's
and
pretty
you
dope.
get to ski freaking Grindelwald.
Yeah. Wait, so
I mean,
is that just because it was the same I went to Austria a year ago and it was the same
Mhm.
there, but is that just because more people ski? Like I felt like everyone in Austria like skied, whereas probably 2 million Americans ski. You know what I mean?
everybody skis, but the population is small in the country. So
What's the
I
population
don't think
in
that's what
Switzerland?
it is. I think it's like 8 billion.
8 billion?
8 million. Not 8 billion. Jesus.
It's funny. It's funny because 8 million, if you think about like a popular YouTube video, like a popular YouTube video gets like 20 million views. So
I know,
that's
they've
like,
got like 3 Switzerlands.
yeah, like what the hell? It's crazy. Yeah,
I
like
know.
the amount of people that listen to my podcast is like equivalent. So it's like pretty nuts. That was totally
Hell yeah. You
that was
got
totally
8
a
million
joke.
people
Yeah.
watching the whole entire. Like I had to pause for a second. And I was like, I don't get it. And I was like, oh God.
that was a
he's
stupid
joking with me.
joke. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyway, and then
Um,
I want some cons because there's obviously a
okay.
lot of pros.
Cons include the rigid structure causes the worst speeding tickets ever. They have speed traps. If you drive, they have speed traps everywhere and they move them every week. And they just are these little gray boxes that flash your license plate if you're driving too fast. And so you don't see them. So you have to drive the speed limit at all times or you get unreal tickets.
How much
It's
are they?
so annoying. I mean, last year I think I spent like 300 francs on tickets.
Dang.
They go anywhere from like 60 to like 200. So
Okay.
it's brutal. But this year I kind of figured out like where they like to hide them. Like they put them like right after a tunnel or behind a tree. And if you're in like open land, you like I like speed and pretend like I'm in California for a minute and then slow down as we go out of the tunnel and it's fine.
You're
Cons,
dialed.
everything's so expensive. Oh my God. Going to the grocery store, like you just have to basically double the price of everything, I would say.
Double?
It's crazy.
So you spend
Like,
how much money do you spend like per week at the grocery store?
well, I mean, it's
In
a bit
American.
complicated because I get some meals from my team, so I
Oh, true.
don't
That's
spend as
clutch.
much. But I don't spend under $100 francs when I go to the grocery store usually.
Wow.
And that's
That's
for
nuts.
usually like a week or two of food. I mean, it's but then like certain things are cheap, like cheese, alcohol, chocolate is all
The
cheap.
necessities.
Anything in season or local is priced like equal to anything like outsourced. So if you
Which
buy
is
local,
That's so
then
interesting because a lot of the time, well, I guess like they have farmers markets in the States, but I feel like it's more expensive to get like the higher quality, like local stuff.
yeah. Yeah, so here you just kind of like don't have the choice but to eat high quality local food, which I guess
Yeah,
is
that
like
sounds
kind of cool
terrible.
in a way. But yeah, they do a lot to make sure that people are spending their money within Switzerland. Like they don't have Amazon here. That's a kick in
What?
the ass. Not having Amazon is really brutal, honestly. Because, like for example, I wanted a mattress topper for my mattress because it's shit, and I couldn't find one for under 300.
Do you
I
have to
was
go
like,
all the way to the store? You have to like move.
yeah,
You can't just do
you have to
everything
move.
from your
Well, even
house.
online on the like Swiss online marketplace, there's still it's everything's so expensive. Um,
Wait, do they have a
it's
Swiss like government run Amazon?
it's not government run, but it is like Swiss owned companies. Or
Interesting.
like some European companies have like fair trade or I don't know, trade acceptance. What's the word? I sound stupid. But they have like special rules where they can deliver in Switzerland. But most things from out of Switzerland cannot be delivered. My mom sent me a Christmas package. I don't want to know how much it cost her to send it international, but it was a lot. And then when I went to go pick it up, I had to pay a $45 tariff just to take it away from the post office.
Because it's
So
from a
that
different
was
country?
just because it was from the United States. Yeah.
Jesus. That's kind of terrifying.
I know.
They're like,
They
it must
really,
be
I mean, it's
Swiss.
just, they fully believe in sort of order by financial repercussions. So
Oh
if
gosh.
you do anything wrong, you have to pay basically. And that's how they like maintain law and order here.
How about the taxes?
Um, well, I get my taxes taken care of. I get my salary after taxes, so I have no idea what I would be
Well,
paying in
good for
taxes.
you.
But my dad, when he visited, was like all buddy with our team manager because my dad's friends with anyone. And I
True that.
guess for him, taxes are about the same in California and Switzerland. But
Okay.
my dad is a higher tax bracket in California, and that's just a lot of taxes. So
Yeah, it
I
is.
think I think here is also a lot of taxes. Other cons are I think socially the biggest thing is that it's people don't branch out of their friend groups really. So like it's really hard to make friends just if you don't know anybody.
Yeah.
But then if you're an American, and you just kind of do your American stuff and talk to strangers, then I've been graciously accepted by groups of people. But it took a while to sort of get like a social group here.
Yeah. What were their
Um,
initial thoughts of you as like an American? Because it varies a lot, especially like in Europe. Like some people in Europe are totally down, and then others are just like the McDonald's. Like I've
Yeah.
been told, like, "Hey, buddy, the McDonald's is over there." Like, they
I
just
mean,
completely roast you.
they pretty much, I think it's like mostly, I feel like the view is that they see Americans as like self-entitled, which is like somewhat fair, I guess. Um, they really enjoy like the outgoing nature of Americans. The first question that I generally get asked is, "Did you vote for Trump?" Which is hilarious. And then not to expose my political views, but when I say no, usually I get a nice, gracious welcome. But I could only imagine if you say yes, what would face you here, I think.
Yeah. See, yeah, I was in
Um,
Canada, and it was funny. All the Canadians would turn on American news and watch it as like drama. It was
oh
like
yeah.
TV
Oh
drama,
yeah.
and they just think it's so
No, they
entertaining.
laugh
I'm
at
like, this
it.
is our
It's so
reality.
sad. I had so many like messages and DMs when the people stormed the Capitol,
Yeah.
like of like, "Oh my God, what's happening to your country? Ha ha ha! This is ridiculous. You see like this guy's costume," and like everybody thought it was just like funny, and I was like, "Oh, this is my
This is my home.
where I'm from, but it's fine. You can make fun of it, I guess."
Wow.
But yeah,
Did
I
you
don't
tell
know.
them that you can be whatever you want in our country?
At least I don't become a plumber when I'm 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. They overall still very welcoming. Just I think if I had come here without a volleyball team to have sort of a social base, I don't know that I would have ever made friends. They're that like clicked into their social groups. It's
Dang.
kind of crazy.
Well, good to know. So it's $600, well, 600 francs to go to school, but you won't have friends. So there's pros and
If you want to
cons.
have friends, just better hope there's international
Yeah.
students.
Oh my gosh. Dang. Oh, well, let's talk. I just want to talk a little about where you're from and how, well, it's a lot different than where you live right now. So you're from La Jolla,
True. I am from La Jolla, California.
California,
Beautiful surfer town,
San
surfer
Diego.
beach town, San Diego. Very different from Switzerland. Maybe almost the opposite.
No.
Laid back beach. The only thing similar is the high taxes. The
Oh.
laid back beach town, volleyball hub. That's what I knew about it.
Beach volleyball,
Yeah.
though, right?
Nah, both.
Really?
Definitely beach volleyball, but indoor volleyball, some of the best volleyball in
The
the
States.
US for high school is in Southern California.
Is most of the
So-
competition just between the Southern Californian high schools?
It's mostly in the high schools, but then also in the club systems.
Okay.
Just very, very good. And that's kind of how you get into college. And that's kind of how my whole story starts, is that I was fortunate enough to be 6'2" and grow up in a volleyball hub.
It's a winning formula.
It's a winning formula. But yeah, and I mean, I'm from super laid back family. Our dads know each other. That's how we know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
We
were
both have cool dads.
Yeah, they were to the audience, they were friends in college. And then after, like, I grew up going out to La Jolla to like see Emma and Iz, who's Emma's little sister, and Mike and Mary, who are her parents. And your family's awesome. And I actually so I came out to California to go to school, and I started to go like visit Mike every so often to like go surfing with him and hang out with him. And now he's like one of my good friends. So it's pretty cool.
Yes.
He's a
I went to
unique man.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, have you heard some of their stories from college? I mean, they're college buddies.
My dad,
And I've
so
heard-
my parents haven't told me anything about their history, and they said they won't tell me
Oh.
until I'm done graduating college.
I can't tell you.
Yeah, it sucks.
There are
I
some wild alcohol involved, ridiculous stories, some including arrest. Incredible, and they're in store for you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think it was funny because Morgan and I are like pretty laid back. My little sister Morgan and I are pretty
Yeah.
laid back. I think because my parents were probably both. I think my mom, especially, I don't know this for sure, but I feel like she was pretty rowdy. And then my dad was definitely also pretty rowdy, but I don't know any of the details because they never tell me. So whenever people
You
ask about my
know,
parents, I'm like, oh, I don't know because they won't tell me anything. And they'll be like, yeah, we'll sit you down someday. I'm like, I'm
oh
20.
my
Like,
God.
can you just
You
tell me
know,
already?
what my dad said about your parents that I feel like I can share is that like Andreas, your dad was always like sort of like the wild, crazy guy. And my dad said that the first time that he met Lisa, like he just knew that they were going to be made for each other because they finally found a girl who was wild enough to tame him and be by
Oh
his side.
gosh. Wow. I'm getting the
And
insider
that
info.
I believe is the only thing I know, but
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense why they're still friends all these years later.
Yeah. It's
And
crazy.
I in university, I went to University of Denver, so I spent some time at your parents' house,
Yeah.
hanging out in Steamboat for a little mountain adventures and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of funny how Colorado and California just ended up being this huge connection for
Yeah. No,
everybody.
for sure. It's classic. So when you were younger, were you just like, I'm in fifth grade and I'm 6'2", so I should probably start volleyball, or what was the initial what was
Quite
the
literally.
initial thing? Really?
Yes, I was playing basketball originally.
Okay, there you go. Another tall
Um,
person sport.
the other tall girl sport, and I didn't love it. My dad was my coach, and he loves basketball, and we had a lot of fun. But I had some girlfriends that were like, "Oh, we're gonna try out volleyball," and my parents were like, "You're tall. You should definitely go try out volleyball and see if you like it." And I ended up loving it, which is super
Indoor or
lucky for
beach
me.
volleyball originally?
Indoor,
Okay.
originally indoor. I did play both for all of high school, but indoor has always sort of been my favorite because it's fast and it's specialized, and I don't know. I could go on about that. But yeah. So basically I got super lucky in that I started playing kind of late. But a
What's
really good
late?
club team, like 13, 14.
Okay. I guess that is pretty
So
late.
I mean, if you think about it, like most people when they start freshman year at 15, is it 15?
Yeah.
Have played enough that like they're good enough to sort of be on varsity if they're going to play in college. But for me, I was still like I didn't know how to use my body, like very
You were
awkward,
6'2" and
tall,
14.
skinny, toothpick, quite literally. But
I
I was
didn't.
lucky enough
Oh.
that the the local club team's pretty great. They needed a third middle blocker, which is my position. So not even a starting player, but just like the third place girl to fill in. And they were like, "We found this tall bitch. Let's bring her in."
She fits the
And so I
bill.
got I got to play for a really good team when I turned 16, and I got good really fast because I was totally out of my league.
So yeah,
And
wait,
that's
what would you
definitely,
contribute? You getting good so fast just because the standard around you is so high?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, nothing forces you to grow faster than being in a challenging environment, I think.
Facts.
Like, you
There's our
can
first
play.
soundbite.
Yahoo! You can play, as hard and practice as hard as you want, with a lower level, but it will never teach you what sort of challenging yourself to take another step will. So that's why. That's really, and I had a great coach, and he asked me, he's like, "Emma, so where do you want to play in college?" And I was like, "I can play in college?" Like I had no idea. It was never a plan for me. It was never like my sort of like life's pursuit to be an athlete. It like happened by a sort of beautiful chance in a way.
What did you like besides athletics at that point? Like what, because you said it was never your life pursuit to be an athlete, but it just kind of happened. So what were you focused on something academically that you were like more interested in, or no? Or were you never
Yes.
excelling
I
in
mean,
academics?
like your parents, my family's very science based and
Yeah, can
math
we talk a
based.
little bit about your
Uh,
parents real quick?
I got a mom who's a double doctor. She's got a PhD and an MD, and is a specialized geneticist. And then my father is a PhD in organic chemistry.
So there
So
you
to
go.
say the least, from a young age, education and science and math were super important, and I really enjoyed them as well. So I was always planning, I loved physics. I was always planning to go into some type of engineering. I was going to do the normal route, apply to schools. That was my original goal. And once I found out that I could play volleyball with it, I sort of started on the process of figuring out how I could do both of those things together,
Okay.
which turns out is not simple.
Especially where you ended up, and the and I know people that go to DU and they're in an engineering school, and it's like, all right, plus being a D1 athlete, it's like that's quite a formula.
It's a bit intense,
A bit, just a
but
little.
just a bit. But DU was one of the only schools to say, yes, we will support you in doing engineering while playing volleyball. Most schools actually said, you sure you don't want to do something else?
Do
Like
you want to do something of
economics,
the arts,
maybe?
like a business major? You can major in
Or they just
dance.
they did.
Not to, I love dance
Usually it's
majors. I'm not shitting on dance majors, by the way. I have
no,
friends
we
that are
don't
dance
shit on
majors.
any majors.
No, yeah, we do.
Anyone who's passionate in what they do,
No,
it's fine
we
by
shit
me.
on a couple
What
majors.
major do you shit on? You should shit on engineering majors. That whole group is a mess, I'll tell you that.
Why is that?
But oh, just because all we ever did was study. A bunch of nerds.
Bunch of nerds that are actually going to
As
get
far as
jobs. I'm a film
as far
major,
as life
so
skills, I
at least you
mean,
get a job.
you are incredibly talented, my friend. I think it's awesome that you're a film major and you're passionate. So
Well, thank you.
that's what matters to me.
Well, at least engineer,
Uh,
like it's funny because we always joke at our school, because I go to a nice film school, and we're like, yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
this is like great and all this is great, but like we graduate, and like an engineering major is like, okay, I got these grades and this school, and someone's like, oh, I like your GPA, your grades in the school you went to, come work. And I'm like, I went to film school. They're like, I don't give a shit. Like, what did you make? Which is kind
Yes.
of, it's cool because it makes it so, excuse me, it makes it so you're not bound by your grades in like that success to be successful
Yeah.
to get a job, but then it makes it all the more like you're responsible, especially in the film industry. Like getting work is fucking difficult because it's so competitive, and not a lot of
Hmm.
people like do like consistent 9 to 5, like you work at this job, you get this paycheck. A lot of it's freelance stuff. And the guy I had on last week or a couple days ago, he runs a freelance film company, and he said it's, you basically like, you could go work for Harley or Nike, and then
Yeah.
you finish that, and there's not people like, hey, come work for us. It's like you start from square one, and you're like, okay, I have to prove myself again to why I should like be able to, and you're like pitching against other companies, and it's just a shit show. So
That's absolutely
and then
brutal.
if you want to be in the Hollywood industry, it's like you're gonna hold a desk. You're gonna be a desk. You're gonna go on your hands and knees and have a flat back for 30 years, and good luck. Like, dude, it's freaking
True.
and I respect the hell out of the Hollywood people. And like, I mean, I'd love to make a Hollywood movie, but I don't want to like
Yeah.
live in a shitty apartment in West Hollywood for 40 years and like not have a
Fair.
life. Yeah. Cause like if you look at 90% of those movies, like there's actually, sorry, I'm ranting, but
No. It's interesting
the
because I don't know a
creators
lot
of
about this world.
the creators of Stranger Things went to my school, and I think they made the first episode when they were like in their late 20s or early 30s. But if you just like look at like Christopher Nolan or Martin Scorsese or
Uh-huh.
like all these like well-known directors, they're all like 60. It's not
They
like they're
they
old,
grinded for
dude.
20 years before
Yeah.
they got
Like
anything.
Quentin Tarantino worked at a fucking Blockbuster, like, and just like watched every movie in the
God.
store and became really good at it. It's really nuts. So you got to really like,
You
I'd
gotta
love to
love
make,
it.
yeah, like I'd love to make a Hollywood movie, but I'm not like, I don't have that enough passion to put in that kind of work. Like, well, and I mean, maybe I do, but I don't know. There's other things I'm interested in, like podcasting. So
Podcasting.
yeah.
But for film, I mean, what direction would you be interested in going then?
Ooh, that's the question, isn't
Maybe I'm asking you
it?
too early, but
Well, I don't know. Like so right now I'm like doing commercial stuff,
yeah.
making videos for people and companies, but I don't think that's something I want to do long term for a multitude of reasons. But which is like, uh, well, look, I think when I'm younger, I'm down to make commercial films and stuff. But when I'm 40
Hmm.
or 50, I don't want to be
You don't want
making
to be doing
commercials
that.
for people. No, I want to like either make documentaries and go to like Syria and like do some crazy shit, or like completely like do something not even in film, but like creative. And also because I
Yeah.
love like statistical shit too. Like, I don't know. I'm so weird. Like there's this, it was funny. I was talking to my girlfriend, Juliet, last night. Sorry. Once again, I'm just ranting, but, there's this scene in this old Disney movie where do you know what Tesla coils are?
No,
So
I
basically
don't.
you wrap a wire around, like copper wire around like this metal stand, and then you charge electricity through it and you make like different ones, and you can make
Uh-huh.
music from the electricity striking the other, from one Tesla coil to the other, like striking each other, and they make like different sound waves and stuff, and it sounds like music. It's
Oh, that's
crazy.
sick. I
So
feel
there's like,
sad that I don't know about this as an
yeah, come on,
engineer.
engineering major.
Hey, I'm 2 years out of the business. Okay, give me a break.
But there's like stuff like that where it like blends creativity, like creative, like the music part, but also like, oh, I like making and like building stuff that like definitely appeals to me. So
That makes sense.
as a short answer, I don't know.
I don't
But
know. I mean, like, and I always feel like it's important to like look at the ways that you're unique. And to me, when I think of you, I think of, oh, this guy can surf, he can ski, he could climb, he could. I saw you ice picking the other
yeah,
day.
I was ice
Like just
climbing.
ultimate like jack of all outdoor trades. And the fact that you could do that with a camera in your hand makes you stand out. So I think, I mean, that's got to be something too. As far as documentaries, if you're going to go mess around in Syria, you could go mess around Syria hanging off a cliff, which
Yeah,
not a lot of people can do. So
there you go.
that's got to be for something.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely, that was like the original plan, and it still is the
Yeah.
plan. The thing is that, so by being like so then at that point I'm just a what's it called? A Swiss Army knife. There you go. So like I
Yes.
have a lot of tools, but I'm not the best at any of them, and that's great. But then the issue is the people that dedicate like only filming surfing are better in filming a surfing than me, better at filming surfing than I am. And
Uh
so
huh.
they'll ultimately get, so for example, like Red Bull has different types of jobs, right? So they have like for like Red Bull surfing, Red Bull skiing, Red Bull blah blah blah
Yeah.
climbing. And they're going to hire the person most likely that does that thing full time rather than the jack of all trades, because at the end of the day you're hiring them to do one job, right? Like
God.
they wouldn't hire me to be like, okay, we're gonna like this athlete surfs, climbs, skis, and does everything, because not a lot of people do that, because when you're an athlete, like you don't play
Hmm.
softball too. Like you just play volleyball. So like the demand for a Swiss Army knife, and I could be wrong, hopefully I am, is like not so high, especially right now. But I don't know, we'll see. But
Unfortunately, I think that's true in a lot of areas. I was really relating to that because I have that sort of as a professional athlete, mechanical engineer.
yeah,
When I try to sell myself to one side or the other, like no one on the engineering side really cares that I spend a lot of time playing volleyball. You know, they're like,
yeah,
that's cool. And you could time manage well and you're probably good at team things, but they don't really care. And then on the volleyball side, I mean, no one cares at all what you do on the
yeah,
side. They're just worried about your like, and so people who spent their entire lives wanting to play pro and be a volleyball athlete, they have the better contracts, they get to the better teams, they do better. And then people who have spent all of their lives pursuing this one sector of mechanical engineering get the job.
Yeah.
And I definitely relate to that, but I still believe there is an advantage to being this sort of rounded person. I
hope
haven't figured out what it is for me, but there's gotta be, because like it's difficult to be good at a lot of different things. And I feel like it should be valued, even if it's not. I don't know.
It's cool.
It just
I'm
bugs
so
me.
happy that you like feel the same way. Like I honestly haven't talked to a lot of people that feel, I mean, like within a creative field, there are a lot of people that like for example, Donald Glover is like an actor, a musician, like Childish Gambino, and like does all that stuff. He writes for 30 Rock and does all that stuff. But like, there's like the conclusion I've come to is that I think well-rounded, not saying that the well-rounded people, I think you're better off making your own job or jobs.
Yeah.
So like, oh, okay, maybe I do podcasting and then I also film and then I also, I don't know, make rockets and then I also like just do a bunch of random shit and like you build your own path
and make rockets.
Dude, I don't know. I'm trying to make rockets, bro. I love rockets. Rockets are sick. I love planes. Planes are cool. And like I nerd out about like military planes and stuff all the time. And that's the weird thing is like I can like, and that's why I honestly think that being a podcaster, quote unquote, really appeals to the well-rounded person, because I can talk to a variety of people and I know, I'm not gonna lie, I know a decent amount about a lot of things instead of knowing a lot about one thing. So this podcast, for example, is like, I've talked to a guy that works for 60 Minutes, a pro Olympian that went to the Olympics for ski jumping. I'm talking to you. I've talked to musicians. I talked to filmmakers. I talked to like, I'm trying to talk to people that are politicians or scientists. And like, I know a decent amount about most of those things. And so then I feel like this is one of the unique things that I'm lucky enough that caters to that. So that's probably honestly why
that is so true.
So yeah,
that makes complete sense to me. Good for you for finding that. Oh God, but
damn it.
I don't know. I still have like this like inner feeling of who really wants to listen to me talk?
Dude, I don't think people want to listen to me talk because I'm an idiot. So if they can listen to me, then they'll listen to you.
That is not true, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
I mean, the one thing I think that like our world that we are growing up in is changing faster than I think any time in history, just with the internet and technological advancements, climate change, social media, everything. Like there's so much that's unpredictable. And now COVID, sick.
The vid.
There's so much that's unpredictable about the future. And I think that it cannot be a negative side to be good at a lot of different things when you don't know what the future is going to look like. I mean, look at, for example, coal miners. That's a random example, but if you spend your whole life to be the best person in coal and you own this incredible fucking coal company or whatever, but now nobody wants coal anymore, like your specialization was for nothing in the end. So if you're somebody who has a lot of talents in a lot of areas, then you can sort of change and move throughout and adjust to what happens in our future. And I think that's also an advantage, in my opinion.
Well, that's reassuring. So, I never thought about it that way. So yeah,
that's what I tell myself, because this is who I am, so I have to live with it. So I'm like, well, at least you have this, but
yeah.
But I don't know.
What are your
that's kind of how I see it.
What are your other interests? Is it just mostly mechanical engineering and then volleyball, or what?
Well, volleyball for me, this whole professional experience, I've kind of always viewed it as not like a gap year, but sort of, in that it's like time to travel, experience the world, and think about what I want. And I have been thinking a lot about that. And I'm applying to degrees in energy systems, specifically renewable energy.
Yeah, you worked at a dam, right?
Yeah, I worked for a water company, and I did a lot with hydropower.
You fit in well in Switzerland.
Yes. Come on, accept my application. But I really want to go into renewable energy because I think that it's going to be a really rapidly changing career as well as really important. I mean, pretty much, at least in Europe right now, every government has this 2050 plan of implementing huge amounts of sustainable energy, and they do not have the resources or people to do it. And so that's where I want to head, because as somebody who's good at a lot of different things, I think my advantage is going to be that I'm sort of this engineer, but also has this sort of understanding of people as well as sort of an international understanding of people. And I'm hoping I can kind of tie that together and make some more renewable energy and maybe make the world a little bit better of a place.
There you go.
I'm speaking it out loud so that I can manifest that it will happen.
I mean, all
We will
9
see.
people that listen to this podcast are going to hold you to it. So
They got to hold me accountable.
all 9 of them are going to message you directly. Funny.
But yeah, that's sort of the future goal. We'll see.
Dang.
One step at a time.
Yeah, we'll see, right? Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, and like you said, things change, especially with like the vid, like and I talked to this film guy, and he said how he felt, interestingly. So I think historically, if you have like and there's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5, but a lot of people have the 9 to 5 and they just work it, and it works out because it's secure, and you drop everything you're doing at 5, and then you go home and you're chilling.
Mm-hmm.
But what he talked about is how, so he runs his own business and he works like for 15 hours a day, right? And he talked about how during COVID, he felt more secure having his own business because he knew what was going on, rather than a lot of the 9 to 5 people got furloughed, and then they're screwed because I mean, they can either try to like start at their own company, which is not the best thing to do during a global pandemic, or the easiest. Or they can try and find another 9 to 5 job. But if you and he said how like a lot of his friends got like stuck into that, like you work a 9 to 5, then that's the only thing that you like, it's hard to get out of it once you're in it. Especially once you get older and you get a family, and then you have like the financial responsibilities of like putting your kids through school, especially in America. So I just thought that was so interesting, because I've never looked at being an entrepreneur as a more secure job. So I found that to be very interesting.
But that's a great perspective. I mean, if anything, this past year has just sort of like thrown a wrench in what everyone thought they knew.
Yeah,
I would say so. And like any job on the internet, for example, is, I'm assuming, doing better now because there's more people spending their time
Amazon.
there. Amazon.
Double profits.
Amazon and freaking Zuckerberg own the world.
Zuck, dude, what a guy. He's coming on tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom, it was so funny. My parents were like, you should get like Zuck on, or like someone like big. I'm like, dude, this hasn't even, so I've done, it's weird. So I've done this will be my 13th or 14th podcast. And I haven't released any of them, and I'm releasing them tomorrow, the first one. But it's completely like not in the order I recorded them, because like there's some that are better and worse. And like I had a shitty line of, not a shitty one, but like it's crazy. Like even in these 13 I've already gotten significantly better. So I'm like releasing them different. So who knows? People they'll hear that this is the 14th one I've done, and they'll like put this one out tomorrow or something. I don't know.
Oh, God.
But hey, I don't know. Or you might not hear it for a year. We'll see what happens. I'm a radical.
You.
Thanks,
are you gonna edit these, or are these just single take?
It's raw.
Podcasts? It's raw, brah.
Yeah, brah.
With all the pauses and cuss words. I didn't even ask.
Free your mind. Definitely cussing.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I have, so it's interesting. So the very first one I did, the guy was like, oh, well, not the very, I don't know. I do know, but I don't want to like expose him, because I disagree with him, but he's my professor, so I should probably listen to him. But he's like, okay, so we did an hour and 45 minutes. And he's like, so are you going to like edit it down to like an hour? And in my mind, it's like, so the first one I'm releasing is 2.5 hours. And so it's like it's weird because I did like a survey on Instagram, and most people like an hour to an hour and a half. And then and when they see a 2.5 hour podcast, especially the very first one, they're just like that's a lot. But
Too long. Yeah.
but I'm not gonna be like for example, we've probably gone for an hour. Yeah, we've gone for almost an hour, and we haven't even gotten down to
No way.
really talking. Like, I haven't even asked you like, hey, so how did you get into D1 and like a full ride and all that stuff? But I'm not gonna like force the conversation to be shorter just because, like, for example, a lot of podcasts try to be 28 minutes because that's the average commute time for the average American. And so if
I
that
didn't
like,
know that.
yeah, that's like
Interesting.
totally a thing. So there's like the 20, like below 30 category, there's the like hour category. And then do you know the Daily, the New York Times Daily?
Uh-huh.
That's always around like 20 to 30 minutes.
I've
Because,
never put that together.
yeah. So
Huh.
I am like, I like talking, especially. So
True.
I did one with the 60 Minutes guy, and he worked at Quibi. You know what Quibi is?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
It was like the so you have it like your phone screen, and then you could like rotate it, and it was like supposed to be this new streaming service. Anyway, so he only had 20 minutes because he works at 60 Minutes and is a busy guy. And I'm like, that's fine. But it was so like for example, in the beginning of this, we just talked about like, oh, like how's Switzerland and like, oh, the pros and cons and stuff, which it does correlate to your life and like who you are and what you do, but not as much. It's just like kind of talking for fun and a good conversation instead of just a Q&A. But when you get into the 20 minutes with me, maybe just because I suck, I don't think I suck, but maybe it just sounds so forced, especially because I was really nervous talking to him. So like I'll release that one, but it was like, okay, hi. So how long have you been at 60 Minutes? Like, what is the biggest thing you've learned? Or like some like cheesy, stupid questions like that. Whereas like coming into this with you, I was like, okay, I like stalk her on Instagram a little bit, and then like refamiliarize myself with your life, and then just go into it with like an open mind and like no restraints and stuff like that. It's just so much better, and it sounds so much more natural than trying to force it into such a small thing just to appeal to people. Like if you don't want to listen to 2.5 hours,
True.
I don't care. You don't need to. You can go listen to I think I might have ADHD, and that's why I'm just ranting.
Me too, honestly, but it's
You
okay.
do?
We can talk about that on another podcast.
Why? Let's talk about it on this one.
Why do we have ADHD?
Why do you think you have ADHD? I can't speak for myself.
Why do I think I have ADHD? Is because I've always simply had trouble focusing throughout my entire life.
And you're a mechanical engineering major.
And essentially the only way I can get things done is through like
lots of Adderall.
I go into overdrive, not Adderall. It was on the doping list for
Oh yeah, you get drug tested.
But I am either unable to get something done or almost like obsessive about it. Like I just will work for like 8 hours straight, but then I'll go weeks without being able to do anything. And
there you go.
Get the most simple distractions, and it's exhausting. But that's why I think it's possible. I would never self-diagnose, but I definitely think it's possible. And my father is a very similar kid.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
You know him.
Yes, I do. I want to have both your parents on. I'm just debating whether I want to have them on at the same time or if I should do them individually.
You should do them individually.
Okay.
I would say.
Because they're both
otherwise
so
my dad will just
interesting.
talk the whole time.
Okay, I'll do them individually.
like myself, he has a problem with sometimes interrupting people, which I've noticed. I've done a few times to you, and I'm like, stop it.
Well, I've done that the whole time to you, so it's fun when there's people that have like the similar like energy that I do. They can like it works out because especially because I'm the podcaster. Another reason why I started this is because I have a terrible ability to listen to people when they speak. I can shut up, but there's a difference between not talking and listening.
That is the truth. Active listening.
Yeah. So like I'll be like nodding to someone and then just be like, oh, I really like ice cubes. Like, I don't know.
And you're just like staring through them.
Yeah. Like when you read a book and you're like reading the words, but they're not in your brain. And then you like
Oh, yeah.
read the whole page and you're like, I didn't listen to any of that, even though I like put my eyes on the words. I just didn't get it. So
Exactly.
this is a
Oh my
good
God.
exercise. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say my coach here, I mean, everything's in French. And so that alone is hard enough to understand during practice. But he does the most complicated drills where you have to remember that you're gonna like serve a ball here, then go under the net, and then you're gonna pass the ball here, and then you're gonna turn around, do a double circle, and then it's just like the drills are so complicated, and every time everybody else understands it but me, and I'm swear I'm focusing as hard as I can, and I just stand in the middle of the court completely lost, and he's just rolling his eyes at me like, Emma, not again. You've been here for 2 years. How do
Get
you
your
not
shit
know how this
together.
works?
Oh.
But that is definitely like his favorite thing to yell at me, because coaches yell, is focus, which I think is kind of funny. Like, focus, Emma, focus. I'm like, I'm trying my best, man. This
How
is
much
as
French
much
do
as
you
I can
know at this
focus.
point?
I understand quite a lot, but I do not speak it, mostly because of insecurity, I would say.
Okay.
And because most of my friends are Swiss German. So learning French is only for practice. So I can understand all of the volleyball words and talk about volleyball, but that's about it. As far as like, and I can like go to the grocery store, order a coffee. Pretty cool. That's it though.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui. And I will not speak French on this podcast. I will tell you that.
Parlez-vous français, madame? Dude,
Ooh,
I
so good.
I did Duolingo over the quarantines during COVID, and it actually
Mhm.
worked. It was like something
What
for
were
my
you learning?
français.
Oh, you were learning
Oh, oui,
French.
oui. And it was funny.
Okay.
Another funny story. I took French in college because I was like, I need to learn something new. And then I did the French 101 and I got through 95% of 102. And then I got a call to go do a commercial job that was like a big opportunity. And I was like, I'm gonna leave now. And she's like, you can't leave or you have to drop the class. And I was like, okay, bye. And then I just dropped French.
Gotta drop the class.
So
Priorities, my friend.
priorities, brah. But no, dude, French people I love French people, but gosh darn it, they are gnarly, brah. They are so gnarly. They are very judgmental. I'm not saying all of them are, but a lot of them
What
are.
was
Even
your experience with French people?
literally my professor was just like calling you
Oh.
out if you like mispronounce something. It was just like, and then it was very like, oh, like we French care a lot of, I mean, I get it. Like it's cool, but it's like, we care a lot about our history and like we are, especially like I've never been to Paris, but I have friends who've been to Paris. And if you speak a lick of English in Paris, you are going to get shit on and they will just have no respect for you.
Oh yeah. And the dirty looks.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Oh my goodness.
It's true.
That's why
It's
I wanted to
definitely-
learn French, because I wanted to be like that, like they'd say in French, like, oh, this idiot American, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, what you saying? Because I know French, brah.
No French.
So
But then
fight
I have
me.
stories of like teammates playing in France and they're trying to learn French. They're trying to speak it, but the second that they notice you have an American accent, they just speak in English with you. So they're like,
Really?
don't butcher my beautiful language.
Do you realize what you're doing to my language? How dare you speak? Dude,
sound
that's what I was saying. It was
ridiculous.
all about the pronunciation.
Oh yeah, and like the ooh versus ooh. I hate that. Ooh.
Dude, I should just stick with my roots and go German. I feel like I could do the Ich biechle
Oh my
dich.
god.
I mean,
I
dude,
can
look
see
at me. But I can see Deutsch, yeah. Oh, he likes the
I hate to
Germans.
say it, but yeah, you look like you'd fit right in.
Yes.
I
went to Norway and people thought I was Norwegian because I'm like blonde hair, blue eyed. They're like, oh, you're one of us. I'm like, I'm American. And it was great. I learned one word in Norway and it was Jeg elsker deg, and it means I love you. So I just go up to like we were and all my friends learned it too. So we were in this like club so we were there for a soccer tournament. I'm gonna real quick go off.
Yeah.
And
no, go for it.
They make like a club for all the like 16-year-olds. So there's no alcohol or anything, but they just have like a DJ And like they don't have a lot of those in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. So we were all psyched.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and we knew one one Norwegian word. So we'd go up to all the girls and just be like, "Jeg elsker deg." And they'd be like, "What the fuck, dude?" And they were just so taken aback. I love you. Oh, that was classic.
Okay, but did it work? Because
Of course it worked.
Surely you must
They were
have
like,
pulled some
wow.
chicks with that.
Yeah, brah. No,
Oh
dude,
my God.
the European women definitely liked the forward men, especially like East Coast men in America.
Oh my God.
East Coast men in America are very forward. But West Coast men are a bunch of sissies a lot of the time, and we're more emotional and like not as like, "Hey baby, I want you," like stuff like that, where like all the European women like that. So it worked out well. I was like, "I love you," and they're like, "Cool."
Cool. Let's go dance.
Yeah. And I was 15,
Dude.
so the kids were psyched.
That is something that I've like noticed here, like dating here,
Yeah.
is just men being taken aback that I initiate a conversation in a bar. Like just mind blown. Like I've never had a girl come up to talk to me that doesn't know me, like just utterly shocked. And
Wow.
it totally works. It's incredible. I do so much better here for myself than I do back at home. It's so sad.
Interesting.
I have the advantage of being the outgoing American that makes you stand out. Well, when you're back, of course, at home, I am like everybody else. So it doesn't work.
It's funny. Well,
But-
it's probably good for you too, because all of the European people are very attractive. I think like 90% of the population, especially like I went to Norway, dude. And like even dude,
Yeah.
the men, women, everyone.
Oh my
I
God.
was just like, gosh darn. Holy dang.
Jesus, that's so crazy.
I'm
I
not
mean,
gay, but I'd look at that. So like some dude, I'd be like, "Damn, respect, bro." The Norwegian jeans made you look very good. And then all the women are like blonde haired, blue eyed. And I'm like, this is insane.
Oh yeah. Everybody's like athletic and thin and like perfect. It's so crazy.
I'm like,
I
I don't
went-
know
when I
what
went
happened.
When I went to Oktoberfest, oh my God, the men, it was like just a sea of tall, beautiful German men. It was,
There you go. You're like,
was
where should I
incredible.
start with my outgoing American
where do I even
personality?
begin? I went with my American teammate and we met a handball team and we had the best weekend. Oh my God, they were so much fun.
Good stuff.
And they just had a great time hanging out with American chicks. I don't know.
American
It was a
chicks,
wild
dude.
weekend.
Yeah.
I recommend Oktoberfest to anybody, anywhere.
Go wear some Lederhosen, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you wear your
energy's incredible.
Lederhosen?
I had au pairs when I was a kid, which is like exchange student kind of thing. Lives with you to like watch you.
Where were they from?
And all of them were German. So
Okay.
I went and I stayed at my old German au pair's house and wore her classic, authentic, what's it called? Dirndl? No, what's the word? Oh,
Dirndl?
God. I think it's Dirndl, right?
Dirndl?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, but I was wearing the real German one. And so we stood out because usually the tourists have like the touristy ones.
Yeah.
But everyone thought that we were German because we were wearing authentic German.
And then you're just like,
Dirndl.
howdy.
And then I was like, what's up? My name's Emma.
And they're like, a woman has never talked to me first in my life. Oh, so funny.
Great time. So funny.
Wow.
But anyway,
So you joined that club team. Back to your story.
okay, back to ground zero here.
Yeah. So
Join
you
the club team.
joined the club team, and then you were like, were they basically like, hey, what college do you want to go to, and also be an engineering major, or what really happened?
They were pretty much like you start they oh God, how does it begin? Basically, if you're on one of these good teams, you go to these tournaments that are like showcases for colleges. So you don't really put your name out there as much as colleges will reach out to you. So I just started getting a ton of emails from universities because you put down your information so everybody has it, and then they'll reach out to you, if if they're interested. And so I just got tons of emails and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? And my parents, being them, were like, we're not going to hire like anybody to help us with this. We'll figure it out. It's all good. So we did it all on our own. No idea like if we did it right, but it worked out for me. And basically, we just emailed everybody back, went on some visits. I made a list of schools that were interested in me that I was interested in.
What was your list?
And well, first round was Ivies, actually. Ivy
Okay,
Leagues.
boomer.
And because being the nerd that I was.
You're like, I want to go play volleyball
like,
and an engineering major at an Ivy League school.
Exactly. But then I went on my visits to the Ivies, and I didn't
Which
like
ones
the
do you
vibe
know?
over there. I went to Dartmouth and Yale.
Okay.
And I stayed overnight at Yale, and actually at both, with the team, and I met people, and I just didn't feel like I fit in there. Like, I don't know, everybody was just very serious and very East Coast, and it just didn't fit what I wanted just by energy, basically. And so I was like, all right, let's regroup. I knew I wanted kind of like a smaller school, so I made a group of basically private schools. I had University of Denver, I had Wake Forest, Santa Clara, LMU.
Did you want to get Did you want to get out of
Portland.
California?
In the end, I decided I wanted to get out of California. Yep. I wanted like a new experience. I wanted to experience seasons, which sounds kind of silly, but
What are those?
I've never experienced
You don't
seasons.
have those in
So I was like,
California.
yeah, exactly. And then I went on my visit to University of Denver, and they were the only school to introduce me to the engineering department. They took me to meet the head of engineering.
Wow.
They took me and showed me like some cool mountain stuff. I was like, this is totally it for me. I just knew it, and I committed like right after my visit.
So you had that feeling that you're like, this is where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very jealous because I did not have that feeling.
I mean, it's kind of like tricky because when you're on these recruiting visits, every school is trying to show you a show.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes I wonder like if I really felt the feeling or if they just did a really good job recruiting me.
They sold you.
Yeah, they just sold me. But yeah, so I feel like it's a little bit different. Like maybe you don't get the feeling unless people are really forcing you into the feeling.
Yeah. And how many schools offer you full rides?
Well, Ivies don't give athletic scholarships, so that was another point that
because you're like, should I
didn't go there. I was like
$70,000 a year on school.
When
How
I
much
could go
is
for
Yale and like all those
I have
schools?
no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah.
A lot. But no, I pretty much every school was offering a full ride to me in my height and my position.
Your height.
She's
6'2".
It really matters. Yeah, like it really does. It's kind of shit for people who are shorter, but if you're tall, they think, okay, well, if anything, we can teach her how to be good. So it really does matter.
Wow. So wait, sorry, real quick, I'm just curious. No. I'm always so interested in full rides because so theoretically, I think DU it's probably like 60 grand, no scholarship a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I think they raised it to like 68 or something.
All right, there you go.
Crazy.
So 70.
It's so expensive.
Why on earth is not even you? Why is a volleyball player worth $280,000? I don't understand that. Like, what do they?
They're not.
What do they gain? I don't know. Like
they're not.
You could say that about anything. Like if you get like, and I know engineering majors that just get full rides, and I'm like, are they going to be like Jimmy goes to our school? And yeah, like that saying that's worth 280 grand. It's just like very bizarre to me.
It is bizarre. I mean, first of all, I think we can start with that tuition that's being charged to students is complete upcharge, and that they are paying more than it's worth.
More than 700 francs.
So they're not paying me or losing, as much money as it costs for me to be at their university. So that's
Okay.
the first thing. And then, unfortunately, in our society, female athletes don't make a ton of money for the school, but Title IX requires
Yeet, yeet.
equal number of scholarships between men and women.
Okay.
So the opportunities for women are
greater?
pretty great, honestly,
Yeah.
because a lot of men, play sports compared to women. And if you are good at sports as a woman, I think you have a better chance of getting a scholarship. That's just my opinion on that.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely really happy that I did, obviously.
Yeah.
Forever grateful for that.
Your parents are probably pretty psyched too. They're like, born
Yeah.
straight from Nicaragua.
Dude, literally my dad.
Oh my
probably
gosh.
thought that.
I was texting him.
But,
He's like, because he just got surgery and he's like, I'm going to Nicaragua for a month in April. I'm like, have fun, dude.
oh my God, he's not going to be ready yet. He can't go in April.
Really?
Crazy, man.
Yeah, no. Who
I
knows?
feel
That
like
guy's
he's gonna
unpredictable.
finish. He's gonna finish his rehab for his shoulder and then overdue because it's classic dad. move.
Classic.
Classic dad moves.
Classic
But anyway,
moves.
yeah, the parents never expected that I would have free college, so they were quite pleasantly surprised. And not having student loans is definitely really awesome. I had a really interesting conversation with a Swiss person here actually at a bar one night, and he was just going off about how ridiculous it is that in the United States you can go to university for free for playing sports when it has nothing to do with university at all. And then he was just saying, how could you get into a school over someone smarter than you just because you're good at volleyball? And how
Yeah.
could you go to for free just because you're good at volleyball? And I was like, there are some valid points to what you're saying here, my friend. But I did just take advantage of the system that was given to me. So I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, good for you.
But
most people don't,
but like
or they can't. So congratulations.
it's just strange. It is strange. And over here, you cannot do anything with sports school-wise at all.
Really?
No.
But then again, I don't
nothing.
think that there's not like an NCAA in Switzerland. Like,
Yeah.
do they even give a shit? Do they even have sports to like watch on TV? Like local?
Well, instead of NCAA, there's pro leagues. That's why I live over here to play pro, is because they don't exist in the United States. They're university leagues only. So their like sort of college games are pro games instead.
So they just straight up
So-
don't have, in the States, they don't have women's volleyball league, like a pro women's volleyball league at all.
No.
Why is that?
Well, that is a great question.
Yeah.
I think that it could be successful. I guess they're starting one this year actually. That's going to be 4 weeks long as sort of a trial run.
Okay.
It's like the first time ever in the United States that a women's professional volleyball league is existing. So, and there's not a men's one either. So, yeah.
So all
It
the
just-
people that are American that go to play in the Olympics, what do they do in the other 3 years?
They play pro internationally.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So are the big leagues in like Switzerland and like Australia and stuff like that, or what? Where are they?
Well, there's the big league, that's the Champions League, which is international. So
Yeah.
it's like top teams from different countries.
Same
and
thing
then,
with like soccer.
Yeah, of course. And then I would say like Italy, Germany, France, and then the whole separate section of Asian countries that are really good, but I don't know a lot about that because I never sort of dabbled over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, those 3 countries are really, really good at volleyball. And they pay a lot of money as well. And that is where the US Olympians play.
True.
There and like in China or Korea or South Korea or I think.
And why do
Maybe
people
US,
like,
like-
so why do people in Germany and Italy and Switzerland have like the interest in those, in like volleyball and those other sports that aren't really backed in the States? Like, do people, because I mean, it's the same thing with skiing. Like being a ski racer in Sweden, you can make a lot of money, like in like
Yeah.
Norway and stuff like that. And like, but not a lot of American. I mean, and that's the funny thing is because like the Winter Olympics comes like around and they're like, why aren't we getting first place? And unless like you do like
Yeah.
freestyle skiing, then like we're actually competitive. But like, so I talked to Ben Barend, who is an Olympian for Nordic combined, and they gave him a woman's race suit to race in the Olympics. They
Oh
didn't
my
even,
God.
yeah. So like the backing for Americans for those sports is just not high at all versus like you go to like Finland or like countries like that. And all those athletes are like groomed like to perfection and growing
Yeah.
up, that's like all there is to do. So,
Well, I mean, it's always where the money is. I mean, that's how the world works. So, I mean, even here in Switzerland, like watching different winter sports events is just huge. It's always on TV in bars and people's houses. Like every year, whenever people are competing, the engagement is so high that sponsors are going to make a lot of money by supporting these athletes. And I think in the US, at least for volleyball, for example, people watch college volleyball. They love watching college volleyball. There's no reason to watch pro people play because they're supporting their local university. And that's why I think like here, there is no university to support. And for women's volleyball, the leagues are often the teams are placed in smaller towns, because it will be that town's sport. So like
okay.
I live in the Jura Mountains in Switzerland, and I play in a small town called Seigneur-Léger, and we and this other hockey team are the only two sports in a huge radius. So everybody comes just to watch us two teams, and
Because
so we
it's
make
like,
money
that's
that
what that
way.
is. Okay.
So that's how you get like sort of the support to play professionally. While in the US, you would go watch a UCLA game, like, or wherever you live. Like it's just a different system.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. I just think I honestly think that, well, also in America, a lot of the like women's sports are like sexualized. So like
Mhm.
surfing is like, oh, everyone wears bikinis, or even like maybe beach volleyball and like volleyball in general. So like, I don't know. Do you
They
have
are here
like,
too, though.
they are? Okay.
Maybe,
I was
maybe
going to ask that.
even worse. I actually there's a girl on the a team we play who's an American. She played at Oregon, and she's doing a whole thing on calendar shoots. Really popular for women's volleyball teams here in Europe to do sort of a sexy calendar shoot of their players and sell it to their fans. And it's just kind of, it's exactly what you're saying. It's sexualizing women's athletes. It's totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you're contractually obligated to do these things. And if you're not, then you're not contractually like safe from doing them. So you're just put in a situation where it's really uncomfortable and strange to say no. Um, and so it's very common. It's not in Switzerland, luckily. That's not
So
popular at
you haven't
all.
had to deal with that?
No, I've never personally had to deal with that, but I definitely know girls who played in France or in Italy. I've heard plenty of stories and seen calendars and photo shoots of just things I wouldn't be comfortable with as my advertisement. Rather than advertising like, oh, come watch us win and be athletes, it's like, oh, come look at our asses, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say it's quite possibly worse here in some areas than it is in the US, but that's just from my perspective.
Yeah. That's interesting. How about just like in general, like the like Switzerland's or like Europeans like respect for women like in the workplace and stuff like that,
I can
or
only
like in
speak for
school and stuff like that.
Switzerland,
Yeah.
just because it's where I live, but they don't have any sort of like, I guess, equality laws. Like there's no hiring practice, there's no basically it's just if you perform, you will get the job. and that's it.
Okay.
I don't think there's a lot of prejudice against women. I don't see it, at least in my friends who are in the workplace and from what I've experienced. But because of this, it's just that men make a lot higher salary and tend to be in higher paying positions. And yeah, they're not really doing anything to change that. They just, if you work hard and you want to be in that position, I think it's possible. That's sort
True.
of what I see here.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's interesting. Because like, I mean, at least in America, I think, well, some like, for example, the WSL, which is the World Surf League, made it so like
Mhm.
all the prize money for the men and the women is like all the same. And I think that's definitely like starting, and that awareness is
Yeah,
definitely
that's
like
awesome.
becoming more popular. But I was just curious what your experiences were internationally.
I have no idea for volleyball how much men make here. I
Is it a
couldn't tell
men's
you.
thing?
There is a men's league here as well.
Is it as popular or more popular?
I would say it's similar. My
Okay.
guess is that it's very similar salary, if
Okay.
not women making more. Just because for whatever reason, volleyball is more popular with women. I don't know. I don't know why, but generally
Is
seems to
there
be
a
the case.
is there like if a men's team played a women team, is how like equal is it as far as like ability?
The just pure athleticism of men's teams is not matched. Like, I mean, their volleyball nets themselves are, I think, like a foot or foot and a half taller, just because they can jump so high.
Yeah.
And a huge part of volleyball is just physical power to be higher and stronger than the other team.
Hit harder.
And so they would probably kick our asses, unfortunately, because they would hit over our block and it just wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
But I argue that women's volleyball is more interesting to watch because it's much more of a finesse and tactical game. But
Rather than just the strength and stuff like that.
prejudice. Yeah, that's my prejudice opinion.
No, it's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting to hear from you about that, because like I think a lot of like, well, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I think in America, it's okay. The men are the better at the sport, but you watch the women to look at their asses. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's like
definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
so, and I don't think that's completely true. And yeah, like I don't think it's completely true in everything, but I think that's like kind of a harsh reality, and it's changing for sure, luckily. But and especially because women are watching, like women watch women's sports, like women watch women's surfing and men's surfing. But
yeah.
Like I love the surfing like argument and stuff like that, because I think they really are at like the forefront of doing that.
Yeah.
And like there's women that are like surfing. So there's this woman named Justine Dupont, and she's French. And she just like surfed this like 70. Yeah, she just surfed this like 70-foot wave at Jaws. And it was just like, holy shit. Like women are really starting to like come in. And then like in the Olympics this summer, which if that happens, LOL, the men and the women are competing at the same venue, which never really like it happens like a decent amount. But Chopu is this place in Tahiti for surfing, and it's like gnarly. And they don't have a women's event there normally. Or like, for example, at the end of the year, like, you know what Pipeline is in Hawaii? So the men's event's at Pipeline, but they don't have the women's event there. They have it at a different place.
Yeah.
But like it's slowly starting to like get more even, which is super cool. And especially like there's a younger generation of like girls that are honestly like 12 right now. They're young, but they just fucking slay. They're just sick. And like they're gonna get as good as the men, and it's gonna catch up, and it's gonna be so fun to watch. But there's also, not to keep ranting, but I'll say this one thing about like men and women's sports. So there's this like, so ultra marathon running is like running over, like technically anything over a marathon is an ultra marathon.
Yeah.
And there's this race in Moab, Utah called the Moab 240. And there's this woman named Courtney Dauwalter, and she won the overall. And she beat second place. She beat the second place person, who was a guy, by 10 hours.
That's insane.
10 hours. So she ran 240 miles in, I think, just like 58 hours or 48, something like that. And the second place person was a guy, and she beat him by 10 hours, which is just fucking awesome. Like, I think that's the most
awesome.
kick-ass thing, because there's not a lot of sports where, like, in pure overall competition, the women can like beat the men, especially by that much.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah.
And
So sick. I didn't hear about that. That's so awesome.
yeah, so there's definitely like, it's cool to see how women are like really starting to blossom within like sports and stuff, and really becoming like really competitive and
Yeah. I just
fucking
think
killing it.
I'm just glad to like watch how everything's moving and changing in the aspect of women's sports. Like, as more opportunities form, more young women want to be involved, just like the sick young surfers you're talking about. They wouldn't be surfing as young girls if they didn't have those role models
Yeah.
of the older girls, and it's going to be sort of this like domino effect that's going to allow us to be more competitive in sports and hopefully better funded in sports, which is just awesome. And definitely, like, as a woman athlete, a female athlete, you work just as hard as the men. Like, these women are grinding day in and day out in the same capacity, and they just want to be rewarded in the same aspect for their hard labor.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's awesome that it sounds like these opportunities will exist.
Yeah.
For people down the line, like
That's very
new
exciting.
opportunities.
Have you
Super great.
have you ever signed an autograph?
Yeah, definitely do autographs for the kids.
Wow.
Out here.
Oh, look at you go.
And in college.
Okay, cool. That's sick.
But
I'm honored.
It never felt like it was like super like, oh, I want your autograph. It's just like, oh, I want a college volleyball player's autograph, or oh, I want but it's just kind of cute to be a role model for the youngsters, I guess.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've never signed it. Actually, I've taken a photo with someone once, and that was my peak. But
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure in your future there will be many opportunities.
Oh gosh, we'll see. I don't know if I want that.
I'm knocking on wood for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know what I want, so maybe I want that, maybe I don't.
True.
But
yeah.
Hopefully this can just help people. That's all I want. I want it to help people and hopefully educate people. So yeah, just to explain real quick, I'm doing this thing where I'm not committed to it, but basically every other podcast is a man and a woman, not man or woman, just like, not to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no names. So it's just a number. So you don't know who it is, and it like challenges the audience to like listen. So like if I wrote Emma Willis, people would be like, I don't know who that is, and they'd be like, whatever, and they'd honestly probably not listen to it. But by writing just the number, then people like are like, oh, I don't know, like it could be someone I'm interested in or not. And then like the whole point is to challenge the person listening to, like, even if they don't know who you are, like maybe they can, like, maybe some dude from South Carolina that really likes guns and blowing things up can listen to this podcast about female volleyball in Switzerland, and he can learn something. You know what I mean?
That's
like
a brilliant idea. I love it.
So like that's the whole thing, and why I want to like try and help people and like broaden people's perspectives and stuff like that. So but it's also presents some issues, because if you're like if people are like, hey Emma, which podcast do you do? You're like 37 and it's not like Google my name. It's like, okay, you have to Google the thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, I thought I'd tell you that too.
No, but I like the reasons behind that. I think it's super awesome. I mean, surely it must be a challenge from like a self-promotion aspect. So,
oh yeah.
Like
yeah. And
right?
I'm curious if I have people on that are more so like I've like been in talks with people that work on like Hollywood movies and stuff like that, and then they're gonna want like the promotion. And if I'm just like, okay, you're number 26, they're gonna be like, buddy, you need to write my name in the fucking thing so people know where to go. So that's gonna be a challenge, but I kind of really want to stick to it, because the whole point is to challenge people to like, because what I've kind of realized like within myself just personally is like, I follow a certain group of people on the internet, and that is like all I consume because it's what I want to consume, right?
Exactly.
It's like I care about surfing, climbing, skiing, and cameras and that and airplanes. And so I just follow that thing, and then that's all I ever see. But if you like make it so people like, okay, I'm gonna click on this thing and I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna learn today. Maybe they learn something outside of what they normally wouldn't. And that's like the whole point, to get outside of like what you follow and like learn something new and from someone completely different and that you never would have thought of before.
I love that. I think it's awesome. I think it's challenging for sure.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
like a huge challenge. I mean, like the world runs off algorithms now. So if you're not matching somebody's sort of niche, then it must be difficult to sort of get it started.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the world needs more of, absolutely, is to listen to conversations from people that are not like themselves, because it's happening less and less.
Yeah.
So,
and you really nailed it with the
really
whole with the whole niche thing. You totally nailed it, because the first thing, like I did a lot of research before doing this, and they're like, you need to find your niche and stick to it. It's like, okay, if like you, so even like, for example, getting sponsors, right? So like the whole issue would be, you get a sponsor for, like, if I have a skiing podcast and with skiers on the podcast, then I'll get skiing sponsors to sponsor the skiing podcast with skiers on it. But if I'm like, this is a podcast with tons of different people on it, then a company, but unless they make like mattresses where it's like everyone needs a mattress, it's going to be like, okay, well, if we don't know who your audience is, even within like an age demographic or any of that, then it's like, well, how are you like expect us to market through you if we don't know what we're getting or who's going to listen? And then also, that's like, definitely true. A lot of people don't want to fucking like listen to random. They want to know what they're listening to and spending their time doing, especially if it's 2.5 hours. So like, that could be like, someone opens it, they're like, I don't know any of this, and like, screw this. So we'll see. But I figured, like, instead of, because it's an interview podcast and there's so many of those already, that like I was like, I need to do something different. And so
it's definitely different. Here we are. I've never heard of anything like it, which I think is got to be an advantage.
Yeah, cross your fingers.
I mean,
my fingers.
If anything, like, you could advertise the fact that this is a podcast where you're going to listen things that you wouldn't normally. And I think a lot more people are becoming aware of sort of the dangerous side of being fed only information that you are interested in. I think it's something that people are starting to like realize, and maybe they'll be looking for something like that. So I hope that's the case, and that this blows up.
I hope so too. We'll see.
That would be sick. Yeah, but also I don't know that I want a ton of people hearing me talk about this, but we'll see.
I mean, I assume. All right. Well, another thing that was interesting. So there's like 36 million people who have YouTube channels, but there's like less than 1 million podcasts on Spotify.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah, it's those numbers aren't right, but the like number of podcasts out there is significant, especially like a lot of people do. Basically, they make 10 of them and they do it once a week. So I'm doing 2 a week, like a guy and a girl, or like whatever. I'm not going to gender whatever. You know what I mean? But I'm going to do 2 a week, and then they don't stick to it, and they just like make a couple, and then they're like, okay, whatever. So I think the amount of actual podcasts on the quote unquote market or on the internet that are really consistent is very low. I mean, the same thing with YouTube, I guess, but YouTube especially is so much more popular now. And I think podcasts are really like starting to grow.
Definitely.
Because it's like one of the few forms of media now that's not this instant, like head rush. It's like, okay, I put away my phone for 2 hours and we just talk. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which absolutely is completely unique nowadays.
I think so.
Besides like a Hollywood.
Definitely a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, like for me, like podcasts are what I put on in the background, you know, like you drive in, you're working out, you're folding laundry. And I think a conversation of interesting new perspectives is awesome for that.
So, oh yeah. So
hopefully it works out.
Yeah, I hope. But It's also selfishly, it's really easy. It's like nice for me because I get to talk to such a variety of people and learn so much from them.
Yeah.
So that's also cool.
I think the bigger variety you can find, the more valuable this podcast is going to be.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear from the like just farthest Trump supporter to the like, because if you're brave enough, like
Yeah.
to have people don't have conversations with people that they hate or look down upon or whatever for whatever reason. But if you just sit and listen to somebody talk, I think you can learn something from anybody. So
Oh yeah.
I think it's just a super cool idea, and
Well, thank
I'm
you.
excited to see where you go with it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I could be a part of the beginning stages.
Hell yeah.
Even if you never post this, it's fine. Good
no, I'm
practice.
gonna post it for sure. I like it so far. It's going good.
Okay.
You're not
All
doing
right,
so bad.
Cool. Gosh.
So in your 4 years, so you got a full ride to DU, you committed to there. And what would you say you learned the most besides like the obviously mechanical engineering, like just like life wise about going to school there and like being a full-time athlete and also a full-time student as an engineering major?
I learned so much. I could go on and on.
That's good though.
It is good. You know what? It is really good. I have never been challenged like that in my life, for sure. Like simply with the demands like of both sides. So the engineering side did not understand how difficult and time consuming being an athlete was, and then the athletic side did not understand the engineering side. So one of the first things I had to learn was that sometimes people don't care that you're struggling and that things are difficult, and they just want you to perform. And that was a tough pill to swallow. Like I had never experienced that before, and it took me a long time to figure out how to handle that and be happy and hold value with myself and not just focus on the result of both things all the time. So what I learned, I think, is just to do everything sort of with the purpose of growing and learning. And so rather than getting so frustrated that I got a B in a class or that I didn't start this game or whatever, I would just try to stay present at every practice and in every class and do the best I could at just learning what I was learning at that time, and not get so worried about the result of what was going to happen. And that once I got to that sort of like mental place, I was so much happier, and I started doing better in school. I started doing better in volleyball. And I was just like freed, because up until college, everything was always about the result. It was like I wanted A's in every class, and it's what people always ask of you. And sometimes letting go of that is what you need. And that's definitely like the biggest thing I learned in college. And time management. Holy shit. Time management is huge. The importance of having people close to you and valuing your friendships, because I couldn't get through it all without them. And then what else? I'm trying to think of what else. So long ago. I think like taking time for yourself and just trying to have fun with what you have in front of you. Like I didn't have a lot of time to party or, go to the mountains every weekend and ski or things like that. But some of my best memories in college were looking back on the bus to different volleyball games, just goofing around with my teammates, having a hilarious time, or studying for 6 hours in the engineering building, like with my engineering friends, cracking jokes, having a time. Like as long as I was surrounded with people that I cared about and enjoyed, it was always fun. And honestly, I remember more than the times that I got to go out and whatever. I don't know, I just rambled for 10 minutes, but that's what I learned.
I've been rambling this whole time, so you're chilling. So you did internships too when you were at school. Can you talk a little bit about those
I
and like
did.
and balancing that? Like I honestly think I'm most interested in the time management aspect of your college career
Mm,
because you sound like a busy woman, and a lot of the time nowadays, like it's super easy to get sucked up into like social media and wasting your time just doing like on
yeah.
Netflix or shit like that. So like, how did you keep your composure and like avoid getting sucked into that stuff, considering how much shit you had to do on a daily basis?
God. I mean, I wish I could say that I didn't get sucked into it, but I definitely did at times. Nobody's perfect. Um, and I've always been somebody that is productive when they're busy, and when they're not busy is not productive. So if I have a lot to do and I don't have the choice to sit back and watch YouTube for 3 hours, then I get so much done. And I think I don't have great time management tips, because sometimes I just had to do it. Like there wasn't a choice. It was, you got to go, you got to do it. And if you don't, then you're going to get an F in the class or you're not going to practice. That's that. Um, but you know what? Now not having a rigid schedule anymore has been probably more of a challenge trying to figure out how to time manage than it was in college. Internships, right? Internship, I got really lucky. I applied to 2 internships in college, literally. And I got one of them, which is so lucky. And it was for Denver Water. And I was the only intern, worked with a bunch of senior engineers and went on dam inspection visits all summer. And it was awesome.
So what was like, so wait, so during the summer, did you play any volleyball or no?
Yes, I had to get up at 4 in the morning, 4:30. I would go do my lift at
Jesus.
5:30. And then 6:30, I would go shower, get to work by 7, do my full 8-hour day. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I had practice at night afterwards. I went to bed at 9 every night. It was terrible. Would not recommend to anybody. That was probably my least favorite part of college,
Oh my
was when
gosh.
I had my internship.
Was it worth it though?
Uh,
Like putting in that much work?
it was worth it on the internship side for sure because I needed that experience. And it's definitely huge on my resume now, and like that was key. And I mean, it just kind of like when you're that busy, you just realize like how much you're capable of, kind of, which is, I guess, a nice feeling. And I stayed in good shape because I was lifting every morning. So
Yeah, that's dial. That sounds, I think, well, that you made an interesting point, which was it's like
Mhm.
easier to do shit when you have to than even when you have the opportunity to, but you're not forced to. So
Yeah,
like I've had a lot of free time
huge.
and I've had so many things I want to do, but then I end up just being like, well, because I have so much free time, then I can just do it another time. So I'm going to go play Call of Duty. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So hard. I think a lot of people are being faced with that with the COVID era too. Like, especially if you're unemployed or anything, like there's so much you can do, but when nobody's telling that you have to do it, like, and nobody's telling you you have to get up at 8 in the morning. Like in my current job, 4, 5 days a week, I could sleep until noon if I wanted to. Like, it
Yeah.
would not affect anything. And for a while, I felt like this like complete. My self-esteem just was shot because I felt like a lazy piece of shit. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I was so used to being so busy 24/7 that like I didn't know how to live my life without people telling me what to do. And it was actually like quite challenging to figure out. But over time I've definitely like sort of gotten control of it and gained tactics, figured out how to apply to grad schools, things like that, things that sort of give me like a sense of purpose during the day, that yeah.
How do you go about finding, because everyone has their own ways of like finding the discipline that they need to get the shit that they need to get done, like whether that being like a schedule or like rewarding yourself if you complete something, but like how do you go about doing that?
God, I wish that I was a good person with schedules, but I'm not. I'm terrible. I never keep a calendar. But for me, I am intrinsically motivated by the satisfaction of getting something done. Like, I I always know that I will feel better about myself and that I will also just like have more energy if I do things during the day. And so, like, the biggest thing for me is always to get up and then get out of bed immediately. Don't sit on my phone for hours, da da da. Because if I start the day in a productive way, then it like sort of is a pattern that continues throughout the day, no matter what I'm trying to get done. But if I start the day in an unproductive way, unproductive? That's not. I don't think I don't know if
Non-productive.
that's the right word. Non-productive. Oh God. Someone needs to go back to college. Um, then it just totally throws a wrench in anything. I don't get anything done. So yeah, I would say it's how I start the day, and just wanting to feel good about myself is what motivates me. Kind of simple, but
Yeah.
I don't have a good tactic to tell you.
Simple but effective. It doesn't need to be,
Yeah.
well, that I think that is the best tactic, because honestly, I've read like a lot of stuff about that. And there's this one guy named Jocko Willink who's like this like ex-Navy SEAL fucking gnarly gorilla of a man. And he wakes up at 4 in the morning every day. And I follow him on Instagram, and he posts a photo of his watch, and it just says 4 a.m. every single day.
Just
Like
to be
almost like it'll be like,
accountable.
get some.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he'll like, and then you wake up and you're like on your phone scrolling on Instagram at like 8:39 or
Yeah.
even like 10. And you're like, I'm such a bitch. I
I
need to
got
get
up
my
at
shit
4.
together. And then you wake up at like 5. And I'm just like, fuck. I can't fucking
Literally.
do this.
Oh,
It's so hard. And then you get into the thing where even if you wake up early, I'm like, I have so much free time, so I could spend 2 hours watching flight simulator videos on YouTube. Like, and I'm like, then it's
yes.
like the time I woke up anyway. And I'm like, well, I ate breakfast and watched a lot of things about things that don't really matter to me, and that I convinced myself matter and contribute to my success, but they don't. Alas, here we are.
Alas.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how
And
did
I
you,
have like,
well, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say I have like this thing like where if I spend too much time like on the internet in the morning, I don't know why, like mentally I'm just like, all right, well the day's ruined. Let's just give up.
It's too late.
Don't do anything all day. Yeah, I don't know what that is. But anyway, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna just talk about, so you had that crazy fucking gnarly schedule, and then at what point, it was probably junior or senior year, where you're like, I have an opportunity to go play for a pro volleyball team in Switzerland, and fuck normal life in America, so we're gonna go do that.
Literally, that was my mentality.
I know. That's why I said it that way. I know.
Senior year. It was senior year, and you don't sign to a team until the spring before your season. So what I did was I basically was like, I don't know what I want to do, like career wise. I have no idea. My coach says that there's opportunities to play pro. Let's see what that's about. And I got a manager, and
Damn.
basically,
Did he take all your
yeah,
money?
no, it's free.
Oh
It's
wow.
crazy.
More free things
He
for
gets
Emma
money.
Willis. Good for you.
He gets, I know, it's a beautiful life.
Oh.
Let me tell you, I am truly grateful for it.
Oh my gosh.
But they get the money from the clubs. So they were hired by the clubs to find players. So basically it's about who you know. And luckily I played for a school where my coach knew a lot of people. So he connected me with
That's not true in life. I don't think. I think it's never about who you know.
Oh, never. No one's ever said that before.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, so once I got my manager, he was just saying, hey, like based on your qualifications, we can absolutely get you a team next year. We're thinking about these countries, whatever. And this was like in maybe November, December of my senior year. And I just at that, when once he said that, I was like, screw it, I'm not going to pursue anything else. I'm just going to do this. And I stopped applying to jobs. I stopped thinking about the future. And I was like, we're just going to see what this adventure takes me. Had heard a lot of horror stories of like people having terrible times playing pro, and like I definitely was apprehensive about it, but I just figured no matter what happens, I can always come home, and I have an engineering degree and it will be fun. So I, yeah, I just put all my eggs in that basket. I had a great senior year, not worrying at all about the future. And he texted me on WhatsApp in April and was like, hey, this Swiss team is offering you this contract. Do you want it? And I was like, hell yeah. And then I went to Switzerland. That
Good
is
shit.
literally it. That is how it happened.
Was it hard to put all like was it hard to like let go of the normal like okay it's spring semester senior year time to like start real life quote unquote and then like apply to jobs and do that shit where you're just like fuck it I'm gonna put all my eggs into becoming a professional athlete in a foreign country. Like how did you make that life? I mean, I honestly it might not have been that hard of a decision, but I mean, besides the horror stories, it sounds like a pretty good gig versus like, okay, I'm just going to go work at an engineering firm for the rest of my life right now, which I mean, some people like, so I'm not going to shit on that, but
that's definitely scary to me. So
yeah, I think that's the thing with a lot of those jobs is like you, especially people our age and like in our generation and whatnot, they hate the idea of working hard forever. And I don't think that a lot of people are like okay with some people are, like I said, but not a lot of people have the desire to be like, all right, I like started my job here and like how many years do I got left? 40.
Yeah.
And then I get to like get my 401k and be like, peace fuckers, I'm going to Bahamas. Like not a lot of people like that idea. They're like, I want to travel the world and I need to find myself and like all that like classic
It's so
shit.
cliche, but that was me. Literally.
Yeah. I mean, no,
I
it's not
want
a
to
bad
travel
thing.
the world and I want to find myself.
Here you
And
are.
I knew that if I got a normal career started, that I would never have this sort of opportunity again to go live in a foreign country and play sports. Like, so for me, the choice ended up being simple. Initially, I wasn't sure. I was definitely really scared from the horror stories. And I wasn't sure I was ready for that level of commitment to volleyball also. I mean, when you're playing pro sports, you don't get time off. Like I don't have time off like to travel to do anything really. Like you're playing sports. I wasn't sure I was ready for that, but in the end, it was an opportunity for growth and it was an option that wasn't the normal path, which has never interested me, the normal path per se.
Yeah.
And so it became a simple decision. And once I put those eggs in that basket, I felt this like huge sense of just like liberation from the pressure of everyone else around me, like applying to jobs and like, oh my God, I'm not going to get a job and where am I going to work? And what are you doing after graduation? What are you doing after graduate? Like, I just finally had like a simple, kind of cool answer. I'm going to go play professional volleyball. And I told people that I was doing that before I even had a team. I
Really?
was like, I know I'm going to do this. Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know how many people believed that was actually true.
Yeah.
That didn't understand how it works. But
how many of your friends did you have a lot of friends outside of volleyball or even in volleyball that just went and got jobs? And what have you heard about their experiences?
Yeah, I have friends in all sorts of different areas of life right now. That's the interesting thing about graduating college is in 2 years, all your friends are doing crazily different stuff. I have some friends who are like in their second year of a career, making bank as an engineer, like they are living in a nice ass apartment. I have some friends who are buying houses with their significant others.
Really?
And then I have other really.
Holy shit.
I have other friends. Yes, they're engineers. So yeah. But I have other friends who after 2 years since graduating, I mean it's not 2 years yet, but basically still have not figured out what they want to do and are living at their parents' house. I have
Wow.
friends who are playing pro like me, living overseas, graduate school, like, and I think the biggest lesson of it all is that all of these people have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Even the people with the house. I come back, I have conversations with all of them, and I think it just remains true that everybody in their early to mid 20s is a mess, and I love that about it. So
That's a cool realization though, because I think like especially like I'm struggling with that I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, and it's pretty scary, especially because it's like there's a day counter, and as soon as I graduate, it's like good luck, buddy. Like,
yep.
and especially
it's scary, man.
It's fucking terrifying, and it's like, all right, you need to grow up. You need to grow up real quick now, bud. And so, yeah, it's fucking gnarly, dude. But who knows? Oh my gosh. I hope I'm not living in my parents' house, brah. You'll see me on the street doing crack before I do that.
I know. I came home for COVID and I had to live at home for like 3 months. And I was like, I don't think I can ever do this again. I love my family so much.
Me too.
But I don't want to live there anymore.
Well, you don't feel like you're growing at all because you're just like at home and you're like, what am I doing?
Exactly. I felt such a huge like lack of purpose.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not for me.
Not pushing your comfort zone.
Exactly. I think that as long as you are challenging yourself in some way, then you're on a path to growth and you're going to be fine. It took me a long time to just accept that I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 years. Because that just stressed me the fuck out for so long. Like I don't know what I want to do for a career. I'll just keep playing volleyball. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I've just accepted, I'm going to just wait, take opportunities where I see them. And if I hate something, I'm going to stop doing it. And if I love something, I'm going to keep doing it more. And that's it. And that's been a huge thing to accept for me, I think.
Wow. So you say you don't know what you're going to do in 5 years, but what do you think you're going to do in 5 years? Where do you think you're going to be?
I can't tell you. I really can't tell you.
That's cool though.
I really for sure can't tell you. I mean, the renewable energy thing, if I could give you a guess of what I want to aim for,
or your dream, what do you really like? If you could do anything, what do you want to do?
Dream would be freelance international energy consulting.
Damn. That's
that
gnarly.
would be the dream. But that is a path that's not just 5 years from now. You got to start by getting the proper education, and then you got to work for a company and gain the experience to become a freelancer. And I don't even know if I will love energy consulting at all. So, because I haven't tried it, but I think I will, because I love people and I love solving problems and I love renewable energy. So I can't see how those things don't fit well together for me. But we'll see.
There you go.
This realization came after maybe 3 or 4 months out here in Switzerland of me calling and talking to every single person that I know ever that I thought had a cool job forever, and journaling and freaking what do I want in my future? What do I value? I put in the work to think about what I want to do. And even after all of that, I think the biggest thing I learned is that I'm not going to know where I'm going to end up. But at least I found a little bit of direction and something to kind of go towards. But yeah, every single person I talked to was like, I had no idea this is where I would be in 10 years, but now I'm doing this. And I was like,
cool, dude.
But what do I do now? Can you tell me what I do now? I don't know.
But you volleyball, that's such a sick gig though. And just sticking with that for a little bit until you get bored or you don't feel challenged. That's so much better already than 99% of people. So you're fucking killing it.
Super lucky to have the opportunity to spend 4 months asking myself those questions, and to, if I don't have something I'm interested in come up, to just keep playing volleyball. I'm gonna keep working, applying to different things, schools, jobs, whatever, only things that I absolutely would want to do. And if I don't get them, then I just keep playing volleyball because it's really cool. and fun. And I feel very lucky to be in that position. I think it's awesome.
Hell yeah. How long do you think you want to do volleyball?
Well, if I get into one of these schools I applied to, then this will be my last season, and I'm completely comfortable with that. But I physically, like health of my body wise, I would say I have 2 to 3 years of good play.
Okay.
But after that, I think I want to stop while I'm still at like my peak of being good. I don't want to be one of those players that's like playing when they're 29 and like has to go to a worse team every season. And like,
Yeah, that sucks.
I want to go. I only want to go up and then stop.
That's a good. Yeah, that's good.
So,
that's how you should. It should.
And I'm like really comfortable with ending after this season, next season, whenever, based on like what sort of things come my way. So we will see. Like I said, no idea what I'm going to be doing.
But it's okay. And I've kind of realized that's like you said, and you've realized that too, is that's everyone. Like literally fucking everyone at our age is like that. So
yep.
Damn. Well, that was over 2 hours.
Oh God. See, this is why you have to clip it though, because there's like moments of this conversation that are gold, and then there's some stuff where it's like one of us is talking for 10 minutes. Maybe we should just cut it off.
I think it's fine. I mean, like I'm not gonna clip anything. I'm not gonna cut anything because it's like, well, honestly, the big reason why is, so I interviewed a police officer in Orange County. Yeah. And he was like, "Are you gonna cut anything?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, good." And I like realized it's because as soon as I start editing things, it doesn't become a mutual agreement on what we said. And it's like, I can shape what you say into what my interpretation of the guest I want you to be is. So by including or discluding things, even things that I said like that are like fucking questionable, or I like wish I didn't say them, I'm going to leave it in because it's like, well, if I can take it out because I am the editor, then like you should be able to too. And then you would like have to like re-listen to it. And then we'd be like, okay, what are the things that we feel like are cringy or stupid or like kind of whack that we said? And like, how, like, should I take that out? And it's like, I think it's just better to like acknowledge that like I'm an idiot and I'm going to say stupid things that I don't mean or that are not who I am and stuff like that. And it's just like, is what it is. And same with the guest. And if people don't want to listen because it's really long, then they don't have to. But, and also like, I feel like everything we talked about was like pretty valuable, and there were definitely like some cool insights. So I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That makes sense. I've never thought about that. How like, if you're editing, then you have sort of complete power on the way that you're going to portray somebody.
Yeah.
Not complete, but
definitely a big portion. So it's
God.
Yeah. And it's honestly, it's less work to edit to not edit. So I'm not gonna lie, that's definitely a part of it too. It's like, I don't know. And like, I don't care what people say is the average time. Like I said, they can listen to the first 20 minutes and find something cool or do what they want. But
true. You can either listen to the first part and learn about Switzerland, or you can listen to the second part.
They're like, what are they going to talk about?
Mess of life.
And we didn't even really go into like, okay, so like do you want to talk about that? Like you being on your team when you got to Switzerland and like going through that process?
I mean, we're so deep in. I'll talk about it, but
all right, let's do it. I got time.
All right. Hello, everybody listening. We're gonna keep going. Okay.
So you got the opportunity, went to Switzerland, and then how did it feel like stepping on the plane, being like, "Bye, family, bye, country." Like, I'm gonna go meet these people that I've like messaged over the internet, and they're like, "Yeah," over WhatsApp. He's like, "Yeah, you can come," and you're like, "Sure." Like, how did that feel?
Literally, it was wild because being new to it all, like I didn't know like you could ask more questions than I did. So I didn't know what the place I was gonna live looked like. I didn't know what car I was gonna drive. I didn't know who was on my team. I didn't know how many professional players would be with me or who I was living with, or anything. And so I got on the plane, and the team manager here, who's a homie and I'm close with now, he was just like, "Hey, like, I'm gonna pick you up at the airport. You have one suitcase. Enjoy your travels. Okay. Here I come.
Wow.
So I landed and I met three of my teammates because we all flew in at the same time. I had no idea I was going to be meeting them that day.
So wait, you flew in
had
alone?
I flew in alone from California. I landed at the same time as my other American teammate that I didn't know was on my team.
Wow.
And and then two other girls, European players. And I met all of them for the first time, and I had no idea. I was looking like a mess. I had just dyed my hair purple, and
I remember that.
I was wearing UGG boots in the middle of summer because they didn't fit in my suitcase.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
I had no makeup on, like just a mess. And I was like, "Hey guys, like, nice to meet you for the first time. I had no idea I was meeting you today."
Wow.
But they're all super nice. I found out that I had a great apartment, and I found out that my car was manual, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know how to drive manual." So I had one of my Swiss teammates taught me how to drive manual, and it takes a while to be good at it, but they just let me go. Like they
Were
were
you
like,
like
"You can drive
stalling in
it."
the road and stuff?
I was stalling in the road. And I was a brave girl.
Wow.
I drove all the way to Italy to go visit my friend from college who was playing in Italy. It's 4.5, 5 hours. After knowing how to drive stick shift for a month. I was in stop and go traffic for like 2 hours, stalling like every three cars.
Oh gosh.
Just a mess. Like but that was like the beauty of it, was that like I didn't expect anything. So everything was like this crazy blessing. I found out that I got to eat at the local restaurant for lunch every day. Didn't
Wow.
know that.
For free?
And yeah, for free. And I get like a starter, an entree, and a dessert if I want every single day. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I found out that my coach is like a super chill guy. I heard all about these stories like that, like the meanest coaches are going to yell at your face for hours and call you a bitch and da 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 da. And my coach is literally just like the calmest, like he's like a dad, I swear. He's just this
Wow.
chill guy. Like sometimes he's too nice, I swear. And we need him to be a little more gung ho.
Yeah.
But just like everything felt like this like little blessing because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And the level of play was like maybe a little bit lower than my college team, but about where I had imagined it. So that was fine.
Yeah.
And I was immediately thrown into a position where I was now a top point scorer, and I needed to be one, which that was a little bit kind of difficult to transition to.
Yeah. What were you before?
There. Before, I'm at same position, but on my university team, definitely the like level of play across the whole team was higher. So the balls were spread out pretty evenly between everybody, and everybody scored similar amounts of points. But on my team here, they bring me all the way here so that I can be a top scorer. So I have to make more points than everybody else, or else I'm not doing my job. So it's definitely like challenging, and all the teams, they scout you specifically on your team because you're one of the pros that they're going to have to stop. And so every team like knows your tendencies and everything. And
Wow.
You have to find solutions. And definitely that was like, took some getting used to, but it made me a better player. So it's all good.
Damn. And then, so throughout, like, what were the biggest changes from like your first season to your second, and now you're in your third?
I'm in my second season.
Okay.
And I stayed because our season ended early for COVID.
The vid, classic.
The vid, and everything for the next year was unpredictable. We didn't know if teams were going to have funding or if their leagues would be playing at all. I re-signed at the same team. I had a great experience. And so I was like, well, this makes sense. But it's really not very common for players to stay at one team for more than 1 year. Um, but I think the biggest difference this year is one, most of the girls are back again. So we have this like really awesome team chemistry because we all know each other really well now. Last year we were all strangers to each other and took a lot of time to sort of normalize the team. But this year we just started kicked off all knowing how each other play, and that was awesome. But definitely it's been challenging because the team has less money this year. So instead of 6 pros, we got 4. And so the demand is like even higher on you individually because now instead of other teams just attacking the 6 starters, now they're attacking just 4 of you. And so like you have even more of a block against you and you're better defended than before. So that's
Interesting.
like tactically the challenge.
And is the game played a lot differently, like internationally, like the style and stuff like that?
It's definitely like more classic.
Okay.
I mean, if you know about volleyball, there's you either have where you play with 1 setter or you play with 2 setters who sub in for each other. And when you play with one, the setter will play in the front row as well as the back row. In the US, it's common to have 2 where they switch and they only play in the back row, and it leaves room for like a ton of like weird plays and like just tons of substitutions. But here they have so many less subs allowed that you can only play with 1 setter, and so you have to learn like this classic form of volleyball that college in the US don't really play. So you have to be like a much more well-rounded player. I hope this is making sense.
No, it's great.
Basically, in the US, they specialize you. They say you're going to be really good at hitting on the right side and blocking, and we're not going to teach you defense or how to set because that's all you're going to do because we're going to sub you in just for that. And then when you get here, you only have 5 subs for each game. So or each set. So you can't do that. So every player on the court has to have a much larger responsibility. So I had to learn how to hit new attacks, new spikes. I had to learn how to play better defense, and it definitely took some like a little bit of a learning curve to be comfortable with that. But now I kind of like it. I like being a more well-rounded player and playing with more well-rounded players. It's kind of cool. So yeah, that's the difference.
It's interesting how unique they are. So the American style is a little more creative, you think, just because of the substitutions and stuff enabled? Yeah.
It's definitely, it's fun. The American style is fun because like there's just so many more opportunities to do cool stuff. Like like just running all the players everywhere and different plays and stuff.
If you played your DU team in its prime versus your team now in its prime, who'd win?
DU.
Really?
DU would win.
Which is interesting because it's I mean, like I guess theoretically, like the thing you're doing now is like a university thing, but it's like the pros versus, I guess the university DU volleyball is the pros of America because it doesn't go higher than that. But it's just interesting how.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Is that frustrating to you, or is it like the rules of the game that kind of dictate that?
It can be frustrating. I think for me, it's most frustrating sometimes during practice because we don't have the resources to have high level players at practice. So there's just, the starting 6 people are really good on my team, but then throughout the rest, there's a very large range of skill. And so it can be difficult. But I like being an important player on my team. Like I do enjoy having the responsibility to make a lot of points and make a big impact in the game, which I didn't have an opportunity really in the same way in college. So I really like that. And it makes sense if you think about it because like in university, well, it's like they're buying 4 players to make a huge impact on their team here in Switzerland. Like,
Yeah.
so in order to do that, you're going to be one of the best players on the team, because it wouldn't make sense. They wouldn't bring you in if all the players that they had here locally were good enough to make that impact. So I don't know. It's kind of unavoidable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the differences are, like I said, they're very interesting. Dang. So did you ever want to, so you, at a younger age, you didn't really even, you started volleyball when you were like 13 or 14, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you progressed to the high school club level and then the college level. And was there a point in college level, probably when you were, like you said, you were playing like at your prime? I don't know, what would you consider your prime? And did you ever want to go higher with it to like an Olympic level, or what, did you have any like plans for that as an athlete? And did you realize that that was ever a possibility?
Definitely Olympic level's not a possibility for me. I mean, you can always like say anybody can dream and do anything, but just physically, I'm not large and strong enough to be an Olympic volleyball player for the US.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so good.
Really?
And I never had that as sort of like a dream of mine.
Have you
And
ever
I would
played any of them?
say I've played them in college. Yeah.
Wow.
And I went to the Olympic tryouts as an experience, and I quickly learned that I was not Olympic material. Hanging out on the bottom court at Olympic tryouts. There's just so much talent for volleyball in the US, like so much talent. It's the college NCAA Division I is better than pretty most European pro teams.
Really?
It's really
And
huge.
so then what would you say on a global scale then the D1 competitor is? Like what's competitive to American D1 volleyball?
Like what pro leagues would be? Or what do you mean?
Like so if you said the European leagues, the European pro leagues are not as good as the American D1 like NCAA. So then what would be the equivalent to like a different, like in a different part of the world of like a team that could play NCAA D1 in America and like be as good or like win?
I see what you're saying. I mean, it is the pro leagues that would be just a select few, like the
from
league
different
in Germany and France, the Italy that I talked about earlier, like, or anyone in the Champions League, definitely could beat a majority of Division I. But as far as just like the widespread talent of Division I volleyball in the US, I just don't think there's like the same number of good players and teams.
And is that due to like the financing or the like variety of people from different places and backgrounds in America, or like what makes the D1 in America the oh goodness, fancy word, like why is it the best? This is essentially what I'm asking. Like, what's the formula that Americans have that enables them to be that?
It's definitely, I mean, it's always money. College sports make a lot of money, like they
from
just
like advertising and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, so like any college with a good football team makes so much money, and that money from like giant football games does not just go to the football team; it goes to all the athletics. So the volleyball teams are getting support from the athletic departments, while here you are making the money that you earn from sponsors from your own sport, and that's it. So they don't have the same funds, I'd say, is some of the problems. And then the teams that do have funds are really, really good, but there's just not that many of them. So it's huge competition to get onto one of those teams.
Okay. I feel like that's similar in soccer too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, like FC Barcelona and like all of those teams.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about soccer, but
yeah, but like a lot. I mean, and I don't either, so maybe I'm just speaking nonsense. But like, okay, baseball.
Like
baseball's a better. Yeah, right.
Like, shut up.
Shut up, dude. All right, maybe baseball. How like the Red Sox, the Yankees. Like, there's a couple teams that like just get the most funding, and that's why they're the best. Versus like the Rockies, which haven't really been I don't know a lot about baseball, but and as far as I've heard, they're not really killing it, but who knows? But it's just interesting how much the financial aspect plays such a big role in actually being good. So in Formula One, that is totally true. You know Formula One?
Yes. Well,
Like-
that's a very, yes, because of the Netflix series, I became all interested.
Yeah. So Mercedes and Ferrari are like the two best for sure.
Mhm.
Just because they have like the best cars and they have really good drivers. But like Lewis Hamilton won like over half the races, I think, last year because he's like one of the best drivers, but also like I think they put like billions of dollars into innovation like Mercedes does, which is fucking insane. But
It's crazy. But it's like always, it's a compounding effect because like people with the best cars are going to get the best drivers. And then because they have the best drivers, they're going to win more races and therefore they're going to get more money and build better cars. And it's the same thing with volleyball. The teams
I think with like
the
most
money
sports
are going to play with anything really. They're going to get the best players. They're going to win more games. Then they're going to get more money and they're going to get better players. And
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess I've never really thought about that on like a global scale. I think non-team sports is a little bit different just because like skiing, for example, it's like, I guess like if you have certain sponsors, like if you're sponsored by Red Bull, you have more resources like athletically and more support. But like team sports is completely different where it's like you sign to a team and like if you have $300 million, you can pay for Ronaldo or Messi or like Neymar or something like that. And then you can end up with like a lot more money or Hamilton. So yeah, that's kind of fucked up, honestly.
It is, but it's life. And it's honestly it's also very interesting. I think sports management is an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah. I have a friend of a friend works for the like the Penn State NCAA football team as like a defensive coordinator. And he wants to be a GM of a football, like an NFL team someday. And he's and he's my age and he like works full time for the team and like is on the side, like in the box with like a headset. It's fucking cool. I want to talk to him.
So awesome.
Yeah.
You should.
I should.
One of my teammates works for the NBA now. I'm doing, I don't know what, but she's doing badass stuff. I just don't know what it is.
That's super cool.
Know. Yeah. Stayed in the athletic field.
Yeah. Holy shit. Fucking gnarly.
Fucking gnarly.
Fucking gnarly. I'm not afraid to cuss. And I say gnarly and bra a lot. if you have
I enjoy that you text it. You text bra.
I text in all capitals.
Because I can just hear it through your phone. And like,
brah. What time you want to do it, brah?
After we rescheduled 3 times.
Yeah. You said yes, sir. You said yes, sir. And I was like, respect, brah. Yes, sir. Freaking awesome.
Big language, man.
Oh, I love the slang. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, that was what time did we start? 1:30? That was almost 4. I'm not an engineer, so I have to count on my fingers. 1:30 to 2:30, 2:30 to 3:30.
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Dang, brah.
I told you, I was like, I have until midnight, and look at that, it's midnight.
Dang. Well, nice job. Thank
you
you for.
Think we'd use all the time.
I did not, but alas, here we are. Well, we talked about Switzerland and the pros and cons for like an hour. So
true. All of my Swiss friends, if they ever listen to this, will be like, "Do you hate Switzerland?"
They'll be like, "Feel free to get out of our country."
Yeah. If you don't like this utopia, then leave.
Yeah, okay. You got to be careful what you say in a public forum, brah.
I know
the world is going to listen to
me one day.
Nah, you're chilling.
When you go big. Well, I'm just a number, so it's all good.
Oh God, I'm just a number. That's kind of funny. I'm just a number to you.
I'm just a number to you, Max.
Funny.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good one. I'll stop recording.
First podcast for me.
Oh, all yeah. Right. Nice job. Bye-bye.
Did you stop recording?
Hello, hello, hello. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast with Emma Willis. She's dope. Seriously. I know I say that about everyone, and everyone is dope on this podcast. And I'm not going to say one person's more dope than another because they're all awesome. But I'm just so lucky that I get to talk to these people, and I hope you guys enjoy, even if you don't listen to all of it, and if you're not even listening to this. And I'm not going to be like, oh, props to the people who got all the way through, because not everyone has 2.5 hours out of their day to listen to two people talk. So I don't blame you. But thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have a great weekend. I love you all. I really appreciate all of the DMs and feedback and stuff. Let me know everything about your thoughts on how I can improve. Maybe I should edit things down a little bit. So just let me know. My Instagram is @msauerbrei, MSAUERBREY. Thank you guys again so much. I hope you have a great weekend. Peace out.